On a rugged cliffside in the dead of night, the whistling wind was already spine-chilling, yet at the bottom only one person remained standing. In the end, everyone else had fallen, and predictably they lay motionless, leaving only that one man. Exhausted from the brutal battle, he gasped for air, his sword stained with fresh crimson blood. He wiped the grime from his face. This was none other than the wandering first sword Bok Duonghui, the man who had earned that very title. For 18 years he had wandered the world through countless hardships to recover the lost martial arts of the Bok family. This title was his only reward after all those years. Yet he cared little for the name. Duonghai's gaze remained calm, and rightly so. Being the first sword among a bunch of drifters, how pathetic that sounded. He looked at the bodies strewn about and sighed. After all these years of struggling, is this really all I've achieved? But Duonghai knew he still had a long way to go, and he steeled himself. I still have so much to do to turn the Bok name into a true noble house, so don't get in my way. Just then someone stepped forward, pausing at his words. One glance was enough for him to recognize the intruder. It was Nam Kung Thien An, the young master of the Nam Kung family. He had recognized Duonghui's talent and felt threatened. You live up to your name as the wandering first sword. I cannot let you live any longer. Duonghui was stunned to see the heir of the Nam Kung clan himself standing before him. With a reputation that shook the world, he really had to come and do this himself. What kind of sick game was this? Thien An looked coldly at the carnage, his opinion clear. Bok Duonghui, you reached the peak of martial arts relying only on third-rate techniques. You even entered the ranks of the gods. Thien An slowly drew his sword, his teeth grinding in resentment. I absolutely will not let you recover all the true techniques of the Bok family and stand arrogantly above the world. Seeing Thien An's move, Duonghai could hold back no longer and cursed, You lowly, despicable coward. He lunged forward without hesitation, and the two clashed directly. So the great reputation of the Nam Kung family is built on these dirty tricks. Pathetic. Thien An's strength was not to be underestimated. Today one of us two must be buried here, Thien An declared. Duonghai smirked with contempt. For a young master, you sure know how to talk big. But still, he swung his sword with all his might, forcing Thien An back. You're confident you can kill me. Come and get me, you brat. Thien An's face turned pale as he failed to dodge the sudden strike, causing Duonghui to stumble as he lost his momentum. After the strike, Thien An's eyes turned even darker. Duonghui was equally focused, neither daring to let their guard down as they threw themselves back into the fray. They were evenly matched, and it was clear this would not be an easy fight. Their life-or-death duel began with a fiery clash that dragged on. For 2 full hours they fought with everything they had. Over 1,000 moves were exchanged, and Duonghui dodged every strike Thien An threw. He countered relentlessly, and over that long period countless deadly blows were unleashed as time ticked away. And then Thien An was struck by a sword clean through his chest. His body trembled, and after a moment he spoke with difficulty. As expected, of the wandering first sword, Thien An couldn't help but admit, I lost. I'm sorry. He finally collapsed to the ground, but Duonghui felt no pity. Sorry, my foot. You commit all these atrocities and think a sorry fixes it. If it were that easy, why call it the public enemy of the martial arts world? A grown man dying and whispering such things. It was laughable. However, after such a fierce battle, he too was heavily wounded, the pain leaving Duonghui dazed, yet his resolve remained unchanged. I have to go home now. But the scenery before Duonghui began to blur. He had to return to the Bok family estate, yet he was so exhausted he collapsed to his knees, desperate to restore his father's honor. Duonghui was now too badly injured to move yet. His determination was fierce. Damn it, hurry up, I have to get back. The pain radiating through his body left him helpless. Brother, I'm sorry. Father, please forgive me. He was filled with regret. Was it really going to end like this? The wish to make the Bok estate a noble house would remain unfulfilled. He felt such deep hatred, but unexpectedly a brilliant light suddenly erupted. The heaven-defying flow shifted the chains of fate. It approached him whispering, You must be reshaped to walk the true path. Go back and fulfill your desires. Who knows how much time passed before Duonghui woke up only to find himself in the body of a child. He looked at his surroundings in bewilderment. He stared at the magnificent gate before him in shock. This place, the Bok family estate, Duonghui was stunned, unable to believe it. How is this possible? I clearly took my last breath already. Before he could even collect his thoughts, the man beside him spoke up. Duonghui, I will call you Duonghui. Even though we met in this dark cave, I hope your life ahead will always be bright and... Radiant. Duong Hai, hearing that voice, immediately paid attention. He smiled gently as he introduced himself. And from today on, I Bak Vo Luong will be your father. Come now, call me father. Duong Hai was still shocked by the scene before him, not understanding what was happening. He skeptically thought to himself, is this the image of my father when he adopted me? A thought suddenly crossed Duong Hui's mind. Could this be the final flash of life that people usually see before they die? Is it replaying the happiest time of my life? He hesitated and asked, this must be a dream, right? Vo Lung laughed and clarified, it's not a dream, son. He gently turned Duong Hui around. Open your eyes wide and look at this. His eyes instantly lit up. Familiar faces appeared once more as Vo Luong introduced them. From now on, these will be your family members in the Bach clan. While accompanying the boy, a woman spoke up timidly. My dear, do you really want to adopt this child? Duong Hai immediately recognized her as his mother. Another boy also appeared, looking annoyed. It was his older brother. He quickly recognized his younger brother, too. However, a little girl was incredibly happy. I have another big brother now. Duong Hai couldn't hide his suspicion. My little sister, everything. Why is it like this? He suddenly had a bold hunch. If that's the case, then I have truly traveled back in time to the past. But how? The leaves swayed gently, making Duong Hui recall the words he heard before he lost consciousness. The heaven-defying flow has changed the shackles. You need to mend your ways to stay on the right path. Walk the righteous path. Return and achieve what you desire. Duong Hai realized. So if heaven has truly given me another chance this time, I will definitely protect my family. He clenched his fists with determination. Duong Hui had a very clear goal to make the Bak estate the #1 family under the heavens. Right now, Duong Hai still couldn't believe it. His young mother, his childhood older brother, and younger sister, everyone looked happy. His father was healthy and strong along with manager Han. After observing carefully, he finally dared to accept it. Sure enough, I have truly returned to when I was 8 years old. Duong Hai clenched his fists. If so, this is my chance. He made up his mind. Relying on the martial arts and knowledge from his past life, he had the opportunity to bring the Bach estate to the rank of the #1 family in the world. Suddenly, a noise made Duong Hui react. As soon as he heard it, he knew someone was coming. A second later, the door was kicked open by a tremendous force. Vo Luong could not help but be startled to see this scene. Who is it? Behind the white smoke, a group of people stood ready. The man entered without any respect. Is this the Bak estate? The guy asked arrogantly. I am Ju Yu from the Red Sect. Is the master of the Bak estate inside? I am here to collect the blood debt from the 7 heroes, 1 absolute Bak Vo Luong. Duong Hui did not seem surprised. Sure enough, he has appeared. The blood seal, Ju Yuk. As soon as Ju Yuk entered, he stated his purpose. I, Ju Yu, have come to collect the blood debt from the 7 heroes, 1 absolute Bak Vo Luong. Bak Vo Luong was from the Black Gang, and today you destroyed it. Ju Yuk here is the son of the Red Sect's leader. Do you intend to pretend you don't know? Volung was stunned to hear this. Ju Yuk of the Red Sect. But what do you mean by blood debt? He angrily shouted, the Black Gang was a bunch of human traffickers and peddlers of soul-stealing drugs. What is wrong with punishing the inhumane and the unjust? Furthermore, you even smashed down my front gate like this. However, Ju Yuk's attitude remained as arrogant as ever. I don't care about whether they were humane or not. The Black Gang was under the protection of our Red Sect. Striking the Black Gang is like slapping the face of the Red Sect. His lackeys laughed provocatively. So do you not intend to offer appropriate compensation? Vo Luong, hearing something so absurd, was speechless. What? Duong Hui, standing beside him, observed in silence. That's right. It was this day. Memories of the past rushed back. In his previous life, his father suffered severe injuries because of the Red Sect. They even looted them, blatantly stealing every last bit of their meager fortune. After this incident, the reputation of the Bak estate hit rock bottom, and that was the root cause of everything that followed. Their family fortune declined from that point on. However, everything is different now, and this time I will absolutely not just sit by and take it. Duong Hui stepped forward. Father, the kindness you showed in adopting me. Please give me a chance to repay it right now. Chu Yuk quickly noticed him. Who is this brat? Volung hurriedly advised. Hi, where are you going? This is no place for you to interfere. Back away now. His expression was full of worry. What if you get hurt? However, the boy's attitude was unusually firm. "Father, don't worry." Vo Luong, hearing that, was a bit curious. "But Hai, do you have a plan?" Duong Hai had to make up an excuse. "A little beggar has to have his own secrets to survive in the world of martial arts, right? Just let me try. Please believe in me." Despite that, Vo Luong was still very worried. "Hui!" But the boy stepped forward with great confidence. "Father, rest assured." Duong Hui looked at Ju Yu's group and told himself, "In this life I will absolutely not repeat the failures and disappointments of the previous one." Who would have thought a second later he would smile brightly and greet, "Brother Ju, greetings." Vo Luong was stunned, and even his mother was taken aback. Ju Yuk couldn't help but get angry. "Are you calling me that? I'm 30 this year. At this age, having a kid your size is one thing, but calling me brother. Are you messing with me?" Yang Hai didn't panic. Instead, he showered him with praise. "Not at all. Brother Ju, you look so youthful, I honestly thought you were only in your 20s. You must hear that you're handsome and young everywhere you go, right?" Taken by surprise by the sudden compliment, he felt a bit shy. "Well, I guess I do have a pretty sharp look." The henchman nearby started whispering, "The boss is really a sucker for being called young. Honestly, though, isn't he just aging prematurely? Show a little shame, will you?" But a second later, Ju Yuk shot them a razor-sharp glare, making everyone panic and backpedal. No, our boss is handsome and young, you little brats. Everyone in the neighborhood knows it, absolutely true. Hearing this, he finally felt satisfied. That's more like it. Chu Yuk couldn't help but praise Yang Hai, "Not bad, kid. You've got a good eye." But he was still clear-headed enough to know that a few sweet words wouldn't just wipe away the blood debt your father has to pay. Even so, Yang Hai didn't flinch. "Of course, Brother Ju, please don't be hasty, let me finish." He didn't hesitate to share his background. "I was just a beggar wandering the streets before those gangsters kidnapped me, planning to sell me off. My fate was miserable, but luckily the great hero Bak Vo Luong stepped in to save me, and even adopted a beggar like me. He's my true savior." Listening to this, Vo Luong teared up. "Hai." Yang Hai turned to look at his father. Ju Yuk was confused what the gang was going to sell him. This little brat who hasn't even wiped his nose properly. They're actually out there doing such evil things. He still wasn't ready to give up wanting to get to the bottom of it. So what if they are? People under the Hongjiao sect can only be dealt with by the Hongjiao sect. Who do you 7 heroes think you are acting so high and mighty? How can you stop us? Manager Han couldn't hold back and shouted, "High and mighty! You guys see them trafficking children and think that's okay." Seeing this, Vo Luong hurriedly tried to intervene. Manager Han's actions had infuriated Ju Yuk. "You old geezer, do you want to die?" He grabbed Manager Han by the collar. "You old fart, you dare shout at your boss. Are you tired of living?" Seeing that, he quickly tried to stop him. "Spare me." Yang Hai spoke up from a corner. "Brother Ju." Ju Yuk immediately turned to look at Yang Hai with a beaming smile. "How about this? The grudge between the Hongjiao sect and the Bak family also involves me, you brat. I will provide useful information. Please let this grudge go." Chu Yuk seemed intrigued by his words. "Information. You're small, but you sure talk big, kid." He immediately let go. "Fine. Let's hear it. If your info is enough to turn this enmity into friendship, I'll take you as my brother," Ju Yuk said sternly. "But listen here," he added with a threat. "If what you're saying is just nonsense or lies, it won't just be a few lashes you'll be getting." Yang Hai wasn't afraid at all and agreed instantly. "Of course, a man of his word doesn't lie. So could you lean in a bit closer, please?" The henchmen behind him couldn't hear what was going on. The henchmen were annoyed. "You little brat, are you looking down on us?" Although Ju Yuk didn't get it, he complied. This kid is such a nuisance. He obediently leaned in close to Yang Hai. "All right, speak." He carefully scanned his surroundings before whispering into Yang Hui's ear, "The spy hidden within the Hongjiao sect, you're looking for that person, aren't you?" Chuya was stunned. He couldn't believe it and asked, "How do you know that?" Yang Hai remained calm. "I told you, didn't I? I'm just a beggar who hears a lot of things on the street." But the truth was something only he knew. It was all thanks to memories from his past life. Yang Hai described it vividly. "That spy has a green snake tattoo. That's the mark of the green snake gang infiltrating the Hongjiao sect." As soon as he heard this, a face instantly popped into Ju Yuk's mind. "Just check Bak Nak Than's body and you'll see." Yang Hai stated firmly, "Bak Nak Than is the mole." However, Ju Yuk didn't believe him. "Bak Nak Than is my sworn brother. How dare you try to drive a wedge between us? Not long ago I stripped all my men down to check. There weren't any tattoos at all." But he just countered with one question. "Did you strip them down to their underwear, though?" I only heard about this after begging for scraps at the brothel. Word is there's a guy with a green snake tattoo near his collarbone. Ju-Yuk's face darkened instantly. He gritted his teeth in fury and roared for Yushin. Yukshin, being called out, hurried over. Yes, boss, is something the matter? Ju-Yuk coldly spat out, strip. He added, take everything off, even your underwear. The guy was stunned right here now. Yang Hai stood to the side looking smug. As Ju-Yuk demanded he do it right there, he remembered the chaos from his past life all too well. The mole from the Green Snake Gang inside the Red Sect was Ju-Yuk's sworn brother Yushin. Ju-Yuk couldn't hold it back anymore and barked, strip, I mean it, down to your underwear. Yukshin was left dumbfounded by the absurd demand. He stammered, boss, are you serious right here? No matter what, being forced to strip to his underwear was just wrong. Still, Ju-Yuk was stubborn. If you're clean, what are you afraid of? Ju-Yuk even went as far as to say, if you're embarrassed, I'll check you myself. Hurry up. One of the lackeys in the back chimed in. Just take it off, man. This is going to blow up if we don't handle it, Yushin thought. He was so angry he was grinding his teeth. The next second he bolted. Damn it, get out of my way. This move confirmed Ju-Yu's suspicions. You really are the mole. Stay right there. As Yushin ran, he was confused and panicked. Damn it, how did it turn out like this? Gotta run, gotta get away or else. But before long his face turned pale. Ju-Yuk had caught up. Oh no. Ju-Yuk's face was black with rage. He pummeled Yukshin, ignoring his pleas. Boss, please. This went on for who knows how long. Once the scene finally calmed down, Yushin's face was swollen like a pig's head. Ju-Yuk said politely, I'll admit thanks to you I caught the mole. Return evil with kindness. The grudges between my family and the Red Sect are settled. Yang Hai was beaming. So refreshing, he thought. He continued, and the 7 heroes are truly the best. Before I go, I want to apologize for the rudeness today. But Yang Hai didn't seem to want that. Who said anything about leaving? Brother Ju, we're not done settling the score. Ju-Yuk looked blank. Settling scores? What else is there to settle, little brother? Yang Hai crossed his arms, acting like a little adult. That part right there. Let me explain. The personal grudges might be settled. He pointed to the nearby rubble. But what about our White Family Manors sign that got smashed? How are you going to deal with that? That sign used to look so magnificent, and now look at it, it's a disaster. Yang Hai kept ranting. So what are we going to do about it? The main gate is gone too. What if burglars get in? That would be a disaster. Burglars would be the least of our worries. What if other gangs decide to swarm us? Ju-Yuk finally gave in. Fine, you win. Take all the money I have and use it to fix the gate, you little brat. His headache was growing. His lackeys were stunned. Boss. He couldn't help but admire him. 7 heroes, you truly have an outstanding adopted son. This little brat is really a sly one, but still, only Yang Hai knew where that experience came from. It came from years of rolling through the underworld in his past life. Kuya hauled Yushin away. All right, I'm heading out. Yang Hai and the others watched their backs disappear into the distance. He finally felt a sense of relief. Great. I've successfully cut ties with the Red Sect. My family's reputation wasn't ruined and father wasn't hurt. I've truly changed the future. Yang Hai was now overflowing with hope. From now on, I will change the entire tragic fate of my past life. Wu Liang approached him proudly. Hi, my boy. Thanks to you, nobody got hurt and you solved a huge problem. He praised him endlessly. You're so talented. Manager Han chimed in from the side. He's absolutely right. And we even managed to get some money out of it too. Yang Hai could only look at them and smile awkwardly. And from that point on, everything changed. That's right, 8-year-old Bok Duong Hui, the one who made the Red Sect retreat. He officially became a member of the White Family Manor without a single person objecting. However, there was someone hiding in the corner looking on with disdain. He seemed to really hate Yang Hui. Time passed peacefully. The next morning, the sound of martial arts practice echoed in the courtyard. There was all kinds of equipment here, archery targets, wooden swords. Every kick was full of power. Yang Hai was exhausted, panting heavily. But even so, he didn't stop. He practiced jumping high into the air. He was very satisfied with the results he was achieving. Finally, Yang Hai landed safely. He couldn't help but exclaim, that feels great. Being young really is an advantage. I can move so lightly. No risk of chi deviation either. With this body, I'll reach my previous level of cultivation easily. The painful memories of the past flooded back. In his past life, he taught himself martial arts and suffered from chi deviation, even after a long recovery. His meridians were damaged, making it hard for his internal energy to flow. This time, Yang He had learned his lesson. I have to slowly accumulate my chi to reach the peak. It needs to be higher. Oh, good, Wuliang has already woken up at this hour. He'd be a good boy and greet your father. He's been asking about you, wondering if you slept well or if you found the place strange last night. Duanghai excitedly replied, I slept very well, father. It was the best sleep I've ever had in my life. Wuliang felt relieved hearing that. He then remembered he hadn't had a proper chance to introduce everyone to Hai yesterday. This is your younger brother and sister, Bai Xiantu and Bai Nianian. Wuliang introduced them in great detail. Xiantu is 1 year younger than you, 7 this year, and Nianian is 5. She excitedly greeted him. Hello, Hai Gege, Nianian added with a look of admiration. You were so cool yesterday. You chased all those bad uncles away. Duanghai was genuinely happy to hear this, thinking to himself. Awesome, now I have another super cool little brother. He replied gently. Nianian, you're so sweet, you're just too adorable. Thank you, little sister. I'll be counting on your help from now on. She excitedly bragged. Did you hear that Tu Gege Nian is adorable? Xiantu looked visibly disgusted. Adorable, my foot, you look like a little piglet. I was clearly annoyed and added, besides, there's no way I'm accepting this guy as my older brother. I am the eldest son of this family. Wuliang was left speechless by his son's attitude. Xiantu. Duanghai wasn't surprised at all. Xiantu was the same as in his past life. He understood better than anyone that since he was the eldest son and heir, suddenly having a new brother show up would naturally make him feel threatened and resentful. It was only natural for him to be unhappy about a new rival for the inheritance. Why was it like that? In my past life, I was always the one yielding and giving in to Xiantu because he was father's biological son. All that tolerance from Duonghui had only caused Xiantu to fall deeper into his bad ways. Being an older brother means being understanding, but perhaps because his parents weren't strict enough, Xiantu grew up so misguided. His gaze turned sharp. But in this life I will break him of those bad habits. Wuliang scolded his son. Is that any way to speak to your older brother? But Xiantu didn't listen at all. Who is the brother, and who is the real firstborn in this family? Just as Wuliang was about to argue further, Duanghai held him back. Father, wait a moment, please. Wuliang was confused. Why? Duanghai advised calmly. I think it's better if we give Xiantu some time to accept me. From his perspective, this is all very sudden. Xiantu was bewildered by his behavior. What the hell are you saying? Duonghui remained calm, analyzing the situation. If you scold him, it will only damage our relationship further. Kids get along better when they play together. I'll manage to get along with him just fine. Wuliang was deeply moved by these words. Duonghui, but deep down, Duonghai knew better. Don't look at me with that expression, father. Only then can we have an honest conversation between brothers, right? To his surprise, Wuliang immediately praised him. You are so mature and sensible for your age. If only Tuer could be half as good as Higher, that would be wonderful. Duonghai was stunned by his words. Father, you shouldn't say that in front of Xiantu. As expected, Xiantu standing right there became even more furious. Duonghui was speechless at the sight. Doing that only makes Xiantu hate me more. Wuliang gave his final instructions. From now on, every morning you children must practice for 1 hour. He added happily, make sure you get along, understood. Duonghai responded immediately. Yes, father. Nianian agreed as well. I understand, father. Duonghui then noticed Xiantu still standing there all alone. Meanwhile, Nianian was incredibly enthusiastic. Hi, Gege, what should we do first? Do you want me to show you what I've been practicing? Where are you going, Gege? Duonghai took the initiative to approach him. He turned around slightly surprised. However, Xiantu immediately shouted, What, don't act like we're close. Who gave a beggar like you permission to be my big brother? Duonghai asked gently. Do you want me to explain why I am your big brother? First, because father decided it. Second, because mother acknowledged it. Third, regardless of anything else, you are still the legitimate heir of the Bai family. Duonghui went straight to the point. Even so, Xiantu, since you hate this so much, I want to ask you one thing. Do you hate me because I used to be a beggar? Or do you hate me because we aren't blood-related? Xiantu answered immediately. Both. He then asked another question. In that case, does that mean you also don't acknowledge father's sworn brothers, the Juge uncles? So I want to ask you one thing. Do you hate me because I used to be a beggar? Or do you hate me because we don't share the same blood? Xiantu replied immediately. The boy asked again. Then does that mean you don't even acknowledge Uncle Giacat as your father's sworn brother? He doesn't share our blood, does he? He retorted immediately. That's different. Uncle is a member of the Juge clan, an origin completely unlike a beggar like you. Upon hearing this, Duong Hai couldn't help but frown. He felt quite annoyed inside. With all this talk of beggars, he wondered how a hero of such righteousness as his father could have produced a son like this. Remembering the scenes from his past life, Duong Hui became even more determined. I need to crush Hien To's arrogance while he's still young, otherwise, he will bring great disaster upon the family later on. In his past life, when Hien To became the head of the family, he ignored every piece of advice and pleading from those around him. And that was one of the root causes of everything. He only knew how to indulge in pleasure until he led the entire family to ruin just like back then. I absolutely will not let that happen again. Duong Hai stepped forward full of intensity. Hien To couldn't help but feel anxious. Stay away from me. However, he didn't waver in the slightest. They say that for a disobedient child. Hien To saw this and felt a flicker of fear. A second later, a thunderous punch from Duong Hai landed. Applying the rule of the right hand is the best medicine. He breathed a sigh of relief and exclaimed satisfyingly, That feels so good, so much better. Duong Hai questioned Hien To. You're right, Bok Hien To, just as you said I was a beggar. But even as a beggar, I begged for my own food to survive, and you look at yourself now. Have you ever managed to provide for even a single meal on your own? Right now, step out of that gate. Would you be able to survive on your own? Duong Hai's face darkened. You keep calling me a beggar. Do you even know what the beggars of the beggar sect, one of the 9 great sects and a top-tier clan, are actually like? Do you dare to look down on beggars in front of the beggar sect's own people? Try opening your mouth to say that again and see if you want another beating. Bok Hien To hesitated, unable to answer. Duong Hai taught him carefully. Engrave this in your mind, Bok Hien To. Under this sky there is no one who isn't precious. That applies to everyone, including someone who was once a beggar like me. And that includes you, the legitimate heir of the Bok family estate. However, Duong Hui also knew that empty theory wouldn't work. Even if I say all this, you probably won't understand it right away. A moment later, he gave Hien To a chance to practice. Hien To stared blankly at the wooden sword in his hand. Draw your sword. Bok Hien To. Duong Hai didn't hesitate to issue a challenge. If you win, I'll do whatever you want, whether it's calling you Big Brother or leaving the Bok family estate. I'll do it. However, if I win from now on, you must always call me Big Brother and never miss a single time. How about it? Hien To frowned tightly, not answering immediately. He asked cautiously, Are you for real? Don't go back on your word later. Duong Hai agreed firmly. A man's word is worth 9 tripods. You just need to make sure you keep your promise. Naturally, Ngin Ngin was on the sidelines constantly cheering. Go, Big Brother, go, I support whoever wins. Duong Hai stepped forward, comfortably entering the fray with a confident demeanor. To crush the arrogance of a brat who always wants to win at everything, I need to show him I'm completely superior. Hien To picked up his sword, hesitating a little, so he still had a certain confidence. I've been learning martial arts from my father for 2 years now. Do you think I'll lose to some beggar who picks up dirty scraps from the street to eat? Hien To declared loudly, All right. I'll be generous and let you have the first 3 moves. Duong Hui didn't refuse. Well then, I'm very grateful. Duong Hai swished the wooden sword in his hand provocatively. If that's the case, I won't hold back. Hien To was stunned when he heard, and I'll teach you a well-deserved lesson. Just as the words left his mouth, Duong Hui lunged forward. He was caught off guard, unable to react. Where did he go? As soon as he finished speaking, Duong Hui appeared right in front of Hien To. Ah! Hien To quickly raised his sword to defend. When did he get here? At this rate, I'm going to get a beating. I tried to attack, but it was blocked by Duong Hui. I won't lose. Hien To couldn't believe his eyes. I can't believe he blocked that. Before he could react, he took a blow to the head. Seeing Hien To fly backward, Duong Hui taunted him. I thought you were letting me have 3 moves first. Turns out you were the one to attack first, huh? Get up quickly. We still have plenty of time to chat and open up to each other, right? Hien To held his head, injury suspicious. Where on earth did he pop out from? Unable to accept this, he shouted, You coward! Is it really okay to launch a sneak attack like that? But Duong Hai just gave a sly, cunning laugh. Sneak attack my foot on the battlefield? Are you going to cry to the enemy about them playing dirty too? Hien To heard this and was left dumbfounded. Duong Hai, losing his patience, attacked again without another word. He just cried out in pain. Wait. Gin Gin on the sidelines full of anticipation was cheering for the winner. She joyfully announced, Huika! Duong Hai was extremely satisfied with the result. This way, the order of seniority in the house will be firmly established. Such a young kid, and he already knows how to look down on others. However, even at the very last moment, he still didn't drop his sword. You truly are worthy of being father's son. Father, in this life I will definitely not let Bak Hiento become an arrogant person who doesn't know the vastness of the world again. He urged him repeatedly, Hey, get up, Bak Hiento! Hiento jumped up only to see that Duong Hui had already moved elsewhere. I'm over here, you little rascal. You were just lecturing me about how a son of a martial arts clan shouldn't crumble in the face of pain, and yet here you are passing out already. That won't do at all. Still, I'll give you credit for not dropping your sword no matter what happened. Hiento was so moved by these words that tears welled up in his eyes, and Duong Hui kept questioning him incessantly. Well, where's your answer? Are you planning on showing no respect to your big brother? Finally, Hiento understood. Yes, I understand, big brother. The boy was incredibly satisfied upon hearing that. Good. I have a reward for you since you've been such an obedient little brother. I'm going to take you somewhere very interesting. Nyen Nyen heard this and immediately became excited. Somewhere interesting. Are we going outside? Duong Hai tucked his wooden sword away neatly and prepared to lead his younger sister, Nyen Nyen, along. Let's go. I'll take you both out to see the world. Outside, the scene was incredibly peaceful. Suddenly, there was a rustling in a bush, and Nyen Nyen appeared covered in leaves. She kept calling out when suddenly a voice came from within the bushes. Nyen Nyen, step aside for a second. Hiento winced in annoyance. I'm covered in dirt now. Nyen Nyen laughed happily when she saw her brother's messy face. Duong Hui reached out to help Hiento up. Have you two never crawled through a dog hole before? I suppose that's what happens when you're sheltered. He couldn't help but be confused. Why go to the trouble of sneaking around like this? It just gets your clothes all dirty. But Nyen Nyen was unusually excited. Nyen Nyen thinks it's fun. Duong Hai laughed and explained, Why did we have to do that, you ask? Obviously to get outside. He carefully wiped the dust off Nyen Nyen's face. I heard you two haven't been out for months, right? So today let's go out and have a blast. Really? She asked seriously. But Huika, big brother, do you even have any money? Nyen Nyen doesn't have a single coin. Duong Hai suddenly flashed a sly grin. About that. He pulled out some money from out of nowhere. Actually, when that group of disciples from the Hongjiao gang came by yesterday, I managed to swipe a little bit. Nyen Nyen clapped her hands in delight when she saw it. So can Nyen Nyen buy some candied fruit? Hiento was filled with anxiety now. But sneaking out like this? Will it really be okay? I've heard that here in the district, there are a lot of black market gangs. It's dangerous for kids to be walking around alone. Of course I'll be fine. If anyone tries to start trouble, I can handle it myself. He placed a hand on Nyen Nyen's shoulder. Her face was filled with concern. But Nyen Nyen is so little. If something happens and she gets kidnapped, that would be a disaster. Duong Hui saw Hiento in a new light. Nyen Nyen, you've got the leaf stuck on you. He actually knows how to look after his little sister, huh? As expected. Hiento wasn't a bad person at heart. He called out a reminder. But have you two forgotten where I came from? Until just yesterday, I was still a beggar wandering the streets with the sky as my blanket and the earth as my bed. I know every inch of these district roads like the back of my hand. I know exactly what's dangerous and what's safe. Besides, I already hired a bodyguard. The person he mentioned was none other than Kunyak. Nyen Nyen shrank back toward her brother in fear. Big brother, is that the man you hired to be our bodyguard? Isn't that the uncle who smashed the door down the other day? Duong Hui was incredibly excited. Yay, big brother. Kunyak stood there stunned by the scene. He couldn't help but ask, annoyed, Kid, explain this situation to me. Why on earth am I out here walking with a bunch of brats? Duong Hai confidently put on a thick-skinned act. If that's the case, then you should be calling me big brother, shouldn't you? Wasn't that your own promise yesterday? Indeed, Kunyak had previously said, I acknowledge you as my big brother. Duong Hui added, a real man must keep his word right. So now do you want to admit that a little squirt like me is your big brother, or would you rather protect the three of us today? He smiled brightly, but his words were sharp as a blade. Which do you choose? Kunyak looked at Duong Hai with a guarded expression. I'll protect you all. The streets were now bustling with people, all trading and doing business very lively. The kids were incredibly excited to see the candied hawthorn sticks. Naturally, Nian Nian was no exception. Her eyes lit up immediately. She turned to ask Duong Hui, "Big brother, I want to eat some candy too." He generously agreed immediately. "All right, pick whatever you like, Nian Ni." While Kunyak kept a watchful eye, Hiento noticed something nearby. "Hey kid, don't wander off too far. Kid, don't get too ahead of yourself. That is the fragrant, incredibly tempting meat skewer." He furrows his brows tightly, seemingly trying to suppress his cravings. But to his surprise, the next second Duong He brings a skewer right in front of him. Hiento still pretends to be clueless. "What is this? You've been looking at it for a while now. You like this more than sweets, don't you?" He can't help but be surprised. "How did you know?" It turns out Duong Hui had noticed all along because his eyes had been glancing at it the whole time. Hiento still hesitates a bit at his offer. "Try it. It was just grilled, so it's really delicious." After a moment, he takes a bite. Hiento immediately starts munching away happily. "So good. See, because older brother bought it, it tastes even better." Beside them, Nging keeps chanting, "Toka, Toka, the candy is really good too, brother, you should try some." Hiento sternly reminds her, "Hold on, Nging, you shouldn't eat too many sweets." Nging looks a bit disappointed. "Why not? I don't want that, I want to eat it." He coldly snatches it away. "Eating too many sweets is bad for your health." Nging is heartbroken, her eyes instantly welling up with tears. "Why did you snatch it, brother? It was mine, give it back." Now in Nging's diary, the brothers were scolded as meanies by her. As expected, the three brothers were punished after enjoying their playtime with their older brothers. When they got home, their father was furious, but Huika stepped up to take all the responsibility and accepted the punishment alone. She secretly felt relieved, thinking she wouldn't be punished. But then, Toka suddenly stepped out and said he would share the punishment with them. Even so, Nging was still very happy, even though being punished was exhausting. Still, today was truly a lot of fun. Peaceful times drifted by at the Bok family estate. By now, the sun had gradually set behind the mountains and the sky was darkening. At a small street stall, a few customers were hurriedly eating hot food. Duong Hui cheerfully greets, "Ninth big brother is here." Ninth music Kunyak, who was eating noodles, pauses at his sudden appearance. He sits there obediently, resting his chin on his hands. He yells in confusion, "Why are you here again?" Duong Hui says with deep affection, "Oh, it's overflowing. I missed you so much. Ninth big brother, that's why I came. 1 bowl of noodles, please." The shop owner eagerly agrees, coming right up. However, Kunyak doesn't seem to welcome him very much. "Cut the nonsense. What do you want this time? Was spending the whole day acting as a bodyguard for you guys not enough? I wasn't about to let him off that easily." "Of course not. This time it's a little different. I want to talk business with you, ninth big brother." Kunyak furrows his brows, suspicious. "Business?" After hearing Duong Hui explain everything, he is so shocked he drops his chopsticks. "What, you know the secret location of the Red Snake Gang's treasury?" Duong Hui hurriedly gestures for him to lower his voice. "What if someone hears us?" "You're speaking way too loudly." Kunyak is still stubborn and refuses to believe it. "How the hell could you possibly know something like that?" Only then does he explain, "When I was begging on the streets, I heard about all sorts of things in this world." Duong Hui doesn't hesitate to ask directly, "So what do you think? Do you want to join me?" After a while, Duong Hui asks again, "You want to cooperate?" Kunyak is still highly suspicious, but with news this good, "Why come find me? If you kept it to yourself, wouldn't you gain much more profit?" He doesn't shy away from the reason. "That's because I want to get closer to ninth big brother, a man world-renowned for his noble character." I is a bit skeptical. "Noble character. I've heard people praise me for being handsome, but this is the first time someone has complimented my character." Seeing this, Duong Hui takes the opportunity to flatter him further. "If I had to choose, your character is even more outstanding than your looks." Kunyak exclaims, bewildered. "What?" Duong Hui turns serious again. "I'm just joking a little. Actually, I heard a rumor about you." The bowl of noodles in front of him is steaming hot. After a long while, he reveals the secret that the 6th young master of the Red Cult sect had secretly taken a concubine. Upon hearing this, Kunyak's eyes widen in shock. Even before having a legitimate wife, he lowers his voice, sounding quite heavy. "Listen, kid, I'm not some enlightened Taoist priest." Kunyak's face darkens, threatening him, so my patience has a limit. Even so, Duong Hui doesn't waver in the slightest. He calmly says, "Oh my, hold on, let me finish what I have to say first. Who knows, this kid might just be able to solve your biggest worry." Kunyak is stunned once again. "What? Duong Hai confidently declares, I will turn her into your official wife, the woman your heart desires. More than anyone else, I know this very well. Kunyak's seventh concubine in his past life. She was the cause of the internal massacre within the Red Cult gang. Very quickly, Kunyak had fallen deeply in love. The feelings Kunyak had for her were incredibly deep. However, the leader of the Red Cult gang could not accept someone from a courtesan background becoming the official wife of his son. To expand his influence, he needed a daughter-in-law with a status matching his own. In the end, the leader saw her as a thorn in his side and murdered Kunyak's seventh concubine. But there was one thing the Red Cult gang leader did not expect, and it was that she was the only person Kunyak loved more than his own life, and that was the beginning of a tragedy. In the end, the father-son relationship between Kunyak and the gang leader, the master, was utterly crushed. A storm of blood and misery had swept through the Hongjiao gang, a faction that once dominated the Ganyang magistracy. Duong He understood his own situation and calculated his moves very carefully. My current body is still too small and my range of movement is limited. I need an assistant until I am fully grown. That is exactly why he had such a bold idea. I can win him over by using his beloved as a bargaining chip. Juyuk sat there deep in thought. I didn't say another word. After a moment, he finally spoke up. And what exactly? Juyuk turned his head away, not daring to look directly at him. Is a brat like you planning to do to pull that off? Duong Hai simply offered a suggestion. If you, brother Ju, hold a high position in the Hongjiaogang, then who would dare to pry into your wife's background? I even revealed more. The Green Snake Gang isn't just hiding silver in the secret base. I've heard they're secretly smuggling in gunpowder to land a heavy blow on the Hongjiao Gang. So, brother Ju, you should be the one to stop them before any major losses occur. Juyuk remained silent, seemingly weighing his options. Seeing this, Duong Hai had to press him, what do you think? Is that achievement not enough? I thought to himself, last time this kid provided accurate info about the Green Snake Gang. Aside from the beggar gang, no one gathers street rumors better than you lot. So it was highly likely that what he said was true. After thinking it over, Juyuk agreed, fine, lead the way. I had placed his trust in Duong Hai. I'll believe you just this once. Hearing that, the boy smiled with satisfaction. As expected of brother Ju, I knew I could count on you. Time quickly slipped away. It was now deep into the night. The entire landscape was illuminated only by the faint glow of the moonlight in a remote location. The place was heavily guarded, and the guards were now closing their eyes to rest their vigilance slowly fading. Juyuk was hiding in the corner, still doubting, you little brat. The place these three are guarding is the Green Snake Gang's secret base. These Green Snake bastards disguising themselves as beggars is pathetic. However, Duong Hai insisted firmly, exactly, I'll handle one of the three. Leave the other two to you, brother. He was extremely confident in his own abilities. Who do you think I am? Need you ask? More importantly, kid, what about you? Do you even know any martial arts? At this moment, Duong Hai pulled out a few black stones he had prepared in advance. Oh, brother, in this situation you have to use your head, not brute force. Your head. Suddenly, one of the guards started yawning repeatedly. Just at that moment, a voice rang out. Sorry to bother you, Duong Hai doesn't mind playing the part of a beggar visiting here. A lackey noticed his appearance and was stunned. What? He marched over aggressively and asked, Kid, what are you doing here? Then, without holding back, he shoved Duong Hui away. This isn't a place for begging. Get lost. Little did they know he still wouldn't leave. Hey, we're all in the beggar circle, why be so cold? I heard there are some strange beggars around here. You never come out to beg. Are you all so hungry you can't even walk? Duong Hai even generously offered them food. That's why I brought some snacks here. Let's eat together, uncles. As soon as the group saw the bowl of food in his hand, their faces turned pale. The guy kept waving him off, refusing, We're not hungry, get lost. The boy feigned confusion. That's strange. This is the first time I've ever seen beggars turn down food. Duong Hai immediately grew suspicious. Are you guys really beggars? Upon hearing that, the group froze. The guy's face darkened. What now? It's just a beggar brat. Should we just take care of him? At that moment, another guy advised, Stop. Don't make a scene for no reason and attract unnecessary attention. Just kick him out. As for Duong Hui, he kept observing them silently, assessing each one. Looking at their energy, they were third-rate fighters, and obviously with his current body, he hadn't accumulated any inner energy yet. I can't win with brute strength. But Duong Hui pretended to stumble over a rock, and the food in his hand flew forward. While the guy was saying, "Kid, get lost while I'm still talking nicely, or I'll punish you right now," the food landed right on his head. "Oops, I tripped over a rock!" The guard roared in rage. "What the hell?" Duonghai acted panicked and backed away. "I'm sorry." In his head, he already had a plan. "I will compensate for the lack of inner energy by executing a precise footwork technique." Duonghui said nothing and launched his attack directly. The lackey watched dumbfounded, and before he could recover, he took a palm strike from Duonghui to the chin. Fresh red blood immediately flowed from the corners of his mouth. The others watched utterly shocked. What, just one strike from Duonghui sent that lackey crashing to the ground? He spoke slowly. "You lot of beggars, have you never heard this saying before? In the martial arts world, you have to be careful around women, the elderly, and children. If you only look at appearances and lower your guard, you'll lose your life." Seeing that they didn't hold back anymore and started drawing their weapons one by one. "You little brat!" Just in the nick of time, Kunyak appeared. "Hey, you green snake gang beggars!" He grabbed the heads of two of them and smashed them together. "Shut your mouths! You stink!" A crisp, satisfying sound of bones cracking followed immediately. Duonghai wasn't scared. In fact, he was excited. That sounded awesome. However, Kunyak was a bit hesitant. "Awesome, you gotta be kidding me." The boy gave him a thumbs up to praise him. "As expected of big brother Kunyak, you really are a badass from a deviant sect." He struck without mercy yet. Kunyak was still confused. Even so, those green snake thugs were at least third-rate fighters. He couldn't help but speculate as he looked at Duonghui. How could they lose to a kid like this? Could he have eaten some rare spirit herb? The night grew hazy with fog. The guards were knocked out and tied up in a corner. Once that was done, Kunyak slowly pushed the door open. As it opened, dust billowed out, leaving Kunyak stunned. He exclaimed in amazement, "So much money!" Duonghai calmly urged him, "Hurry up and check it out, big brother." Seeing how excited the kid was, Kunyak became even more suspicious. A second later, he honestly praised him, "Not bad. You've never had proper martial arts training, yet you took them all down." In a heartbeat, Kunyak kept checking the place while continuously praising his talent. "Truly excellent. No wonder the head of the Bok family adopted you." Duonghui laughed and went along with it. "I was born with a bit of talent after all." Kunyak silently thought to himself that the kid's personality seemed inversely proportional to his talent. Seeing him dilly-dally, Duonghui called out, "Let's leave that for later. Big brother, look at this." Where his hand touched, the space opened up, and a blinding light hit both of them. Kunyak shouted in shock, "No way, this is—" That small chest was actually overflowing with silver ingots. Kunyak's mind started working overtime more than he could have ever imagined. "Even if we split it 50-50, this is still—" Duonghai interrupted him, leaving him stunned. "Big brother, you just take all that poison, I'll take the money." Kunyak couldn't believe it and snapped around to confront him. What kind of ridiculous trade is this? I thought we were splitting it 50-50. Duonghai looked at the crates around him and answered leisurely, "It is 50-50. He nonchalantly pointed at himself. "The silver is mine and the poison is yours." Kunyak's face fell. His brows knit together in opposite directions. He helplessly realized this brat. "You planned this from the very beginning, didn't you?" Understanding Kunyak's intention, Duonghai offered another option. "Or there's a way for you to take it all, big brother." The room suddenly went quiet. Duonghui quickly calculated. His nature isn't evil, but to know if he's someone I can fully trust, I need to test him. Thinking is doing, Duonghai pinched the wooden crate nearby and spoke up. "You just need to get rid of me right here and it's done." Kunyak was immediately flustered as if he hadn't heard clearly. "What? Get rid of who?" Duonghai calmly emphasized killing a kid. "It shouldn't be hard for a top-tier expert like you, big brother." Duonghui's gaze darkened. "The people at the Bok estate don't care much about me anyway." Remembering their silhouettes, Duonghai acted to the very end. "Besides, I've only been with that family for a few days, so if I don't go back, they'll just assume I ran away." Seeing Kunyak just standing there, Duonghai asked again, "What's the matter?" He gave a faint, pitiful smile. "It's the perfect setup to commit murder, isn't it?" The small room fell into silence once again. Kunyak was speechless. He furrowed his brows and thought, "This brat. He behaves as if he is not bound by anything, yet sometimes he treats his own life like a joke." Suddenly an image of a sword and blood appeared in Kunyak's mind. He was always walking on the blade's edge. Kunyak imagined a jagged, lonely back. He became even more certain, yeah, he's almost like a wandering swordsman. I was terrified by his own thoughts. Kunyak leaned his hand against the nearby crate and swallowed hard. What the hell am I thinking? For a second there, this kid actually looked like a seasoned, weather-beaten, wandering swordsman. Kunyak exhaled helplessly. Seriously, I'm always being led by the nose by this brat. All right, I lose. The silver is yours, take it. He grumbled, explaining, even though I'm a man of the dark path, I have no intention of killing a kid who is still wet behind the ears like you. Kunyak easily lifted the tension in the room. Killing a kid who follows me around calling me big brother, wouldn't that give me nightmares? I kept mumbling, even though it's a bit of a waste like you said, kid, I'll just take the poison. Just lugging this pile of poison is going to take me half the day. Dronzer watched Kunyak's back and felt deeply satisfied. As expected, he really lived his whole life as a dark path martial artist, but his heart wasn't evil. With a heart like that, no wonder before I was reborn, he was willing to go through life and death for the girl he cherished. Dronzer happily smiled, realizing something strange. Kunyak tilted his head, not yet understanding, but Dronzer had already lunged over to hug his neck. Did I appear in your dreams, big brother? So big brother, do you really like me that much? Little brother here is truly honored. Nine suddenly jumped and shouted, You brat, that's disgusting! And so the night slowly fades away. The next day, Volung and Steward Han stood frozen, staring at the chest in front of them, which was packed neatly with stacks of silver bars and piles of cash. Steward Han cried out in sheer joy, It's money! Volung, however, was extremely worried. What on earth is this hui? Where did all this money come from? Dronzer replied cheerfully, I earned it myself. This answer did not put Volung at ease. How could a child like you possibly earn so much money? Steward Han was also bursting with curiosity. Young master, please, you must tell us right away. Overcome with emotion and tears welling up in his eyes, he clutched Dronzer's arm. Can I truly spend all of this money? Please say yes with this amount of money. We can finally fix the roof. We can pay off all our debts at the pharmacy, buy bird's nest to nourish the madam's health. We can do everything. Suddenly Volung shouted coldly, making Steward Han instantly tense up as he looked at the money before them. Volung wasn't exactly angry, just deeply troubled. Explain yourself, hui. Steward Han asked anxiously. Young master, you didn't get involved in anything dangerous, did you? Dronzer replied awkwardly, It's not dangerous at all. I was with Boss 9. This statement made Volung jump in shock. What? You mean Bloodblade 9 from the Red Sect gang? The one who smashed our front gate? Dronzer gave an awkward smile and explained, Well, it's like this. As time passed, the tea went cold and the snacks remained untouched. After a while, Dronzer finished his story. And that's how it all happened. I believe a true hero would take dirty money and put it to good use, and I wanted to repay you for taking me in, Dronzer said, sincerely trying to persuade Volung. Father, please accept this money. Volung furrowed his brow, hesitating for a long time. Only after looking back at the pile of silver did he speak. Usually I would scold you for being so reckless. But hi, you're not like other children. Your spirit is truly extraordinary. I feel that if I keep holding someone like you back just because you're small, that wouldn't be right. Even in the Bach family, I can't properly nurture and develop your talents. I shouldn't be the one blocking your future. Suddenly Volung paused, then spoke with newfound determination. From now on, Father will no longer stop you from doing what you want. However, Volung added with a worried plea, Dronzer, please promise me that you won't do anything dangerous. Dronzer stood frozen in place. Although he had rushed things when he was reborn at this moment, he was truly touched. Whether in my past life or this one, Father has always treated me as his own son and worried for me so genuinely. Dronzer didn't hesitate to express his gratitude. Thank you for trusting me. Still, since I earned this money, you can't take it all. You shouldn't take it all. Volung immediately settled the matter. You should manage half of it yourself. Hearing this, Steward Han was startled. Master, Dronzer muttered in surprise, What? Oh, I understand now. He couldn't believe Volung's decision to suddenly hand over half of the capital to an 8-year-old child to manage. After everyone left, Dronzer looked happily at the pile of silver. Now that I have this capital, I really should invest it and multiply it. Just then, Nien peeked through the window gap, asking curiously, Huika, what are you writing? Dronzer swayed the paper and asked, This, do you want to try reading it? She replied naively, Nien, he doesn't know how to read. Hearing her say that, Dronzer remembered, Ah, that's right. Hai explained it right away to Nien Nien. This is a novel I wrote myself. She didn't quite understand. A novel? Hai summed it up concisely. It means an interesting story. She understood immediately. Ah, you mean those common storybooks, right? Nien Hai knows about them. Mother reads them all the time. Hai stood up. Yeah, actually, I was just about to go see Mother. He carefully set his pen down, holding his finished work with great anticipation, wondering if the story he wrote was good. The morning sunlight continuously shone into the luxurious villa. Inside the quiet room, the first rays of light appeared as a woman slowly wiped her face with a towel. This person was none other than Bok Duonghui's mother, Trin Nanhua. Suddenly, someone stepped inside. Hai spoke softly, "Mother." As soon as the words left his lips, Nanhua couldn't help but be surprised and murmured, "Hai." Upon seeing his bright smile, she cheered with joy. "Is that you, Hai?" As he arrived, something suddenly dawned on him. Nanhua asked slowly why he had come, and as soon as she finished speaking, Bok Hui pouted and said, "What do you mean, Mom? I just wanted to come and chat with you." He suddenly realized something, causing him to pause for a moment, looking at the countless porcelain medicine bottles nearby. It led Hai to guess that just like in his past life, his mother's room was still filled with the scent of medicine. She had been sickly since birth and later developed a chronic illness no matter how much medicine she took. Her condition never improved, and she passed away too soon. The image of Vo Luong sitting by her deathbed in his past life made Duonghui's heart heavy. Father had tried everything to heal her, and Nanhua's thin, frail fingers made him sad. But he thought to himself that the money Father borrowed from everywhere to pay for her medicine quickly piled up like a mountain, and then that dark day arrived. Vo Luong couldn't help but collapse under the weight of those debts. The Bok family declined more and more over time, and after losing Father collapsed from grief and was bedridden. Not only that, Vo Luong became irritable, and from that moment on, Hien too also started to go down the wrong path. Those dark memories once again made Hai in the present more determined, and he told himself, "If I want to save the Bok family, I must cure Mother's illness first. And to do that, I need money to hire a doctor and buy medicine." His young eyes looked up with a probing gaze, and thoughts kept racing through his mind. "I've siphoned off a few thousand taels from the Than Shagong, but that's not enough. I need to start a business that brings in a steady cash flow." The next second, Hai wore a radiant smile and slowly said, "I heard from Hien too that you love reading novels, Mom." Hearing this, Nanhua couldn't help but feel delighted and exclaimed, "That was just something I skimmed through to kill time while lying in bed." As soon as she finished, Hai quickly offered, "Then I want you to read this one, Mom." I took out a book and excitedly introduced it. I wrote it based on stories I heard outside. At this moment, Nanhua couldn't hide the happiness in her eyes, and she blurted out, "Oh my, you wrote a novel." Her next words made Hai even happier. "Let me see." Nanhua's slender fingers slowly flipped through the pages, her eyes showing clear focus, when suddenly she spoke in a suspicious tone. "Hui!" Not letting her finish the sentence, Hai happily said, "Mom, just take your time reading it." At the same time, a thought flashed through his mind. "What's wrong? Is it good, right, Mom?" Not long after, Nanhua slowly closed the book, but the very next second, she picked it up again and smiled happily. At that moment, Hui was still in the room, and he nervously asked, "So what do you think, Mom?" As soon as he asked, Nanhua started praising it. "It's wonderful." The more she spoke, the wider her smile became. "I got so hooked I couldn't put it down. I have never read anything like this before." "Where did you hear a story like this?" Hai cheekily replied, "I just pieced together things I heard here and there, Mom." However, in his mind, he thought, "In truth, this is a masterpiece that will be incredibly popular in about 15 years, even though I just copied it from a collection of rumors and patched it together." Suddenly, images of his past life flooded Hui's mind, making him dwell on them. Before his rebirth, during his days as a wandering martial artist, his only joy besides training was finding and reading cheap novels like The World's #1 Martial Artist. Countless books appeared in his memory with various contents. Adventure, action, justice, triumphing over darkness. He had read his favorite stories dozens of times, so he remembered every single word. Returning to reality, a thought slowly crossed Hui's mind. "To all the great authors 15 years from now, please forgive this junior for borrowing your masterpieces." The next second he whispered, "More importantly, what do you think, Mom?" Seeing Nanhua looking dazed, Hai quickly followed up, "Does this book have commercial value?" After a moment of silence, she softly said, "Hi, could it be that you—" As soon as she finished, a smug smile appeared on Donghui's lips and he slowly advised, Mom, please send a letter to the Namshuangbakchi bookstore for me. Meanwhile, Ding Nguyet had arrived at the Bok residence. She dismounted her horse and sighed in relief. Ding Nguyet slowly lifted the veil on her hat and smiled contentedly. Immediately after, she excitedly exclaimed, Is this the Bok family manor? The atmosphere around her seemed to slow down for a beat, allowing Ding Nguyet to take in everything before her. She puffed out her cheeks and hummed, then suddenly Ding Nguyet shouted happily, Master One Stroke writes 1,000 words, are you here? The people from the Namshuangbakchi bookstore have arrived. This enthusiastic shout quickly attracted the attention of those around. Why summon the young lady here, and then not show your face? Master One Stroke writes 1,000 words, come out and welcome me right now. Right after that, an old gentleman rushed over. When Ding Nguyet shouted the final words, Master One Stroke writes 1,000 words. The other party couldn't help but panic and asked loudly, Miss, who exactly are you looking for? The moment she saw the person, Ding Nguyet asked happily, Is this the Bok residence? I rushed here as fast as I could, ever since I received the letter from the One-Stroke Master. Could you please bring them out to see me right now? Just then Steward had mumbled, Who on earth is the One-Stroke Master? Meanwhile, Hiento and Duonghe, hiding behind the wall, overheard everything. Steward, Han, looking extremely confused, tried to explain, I've never seen your face around here before. What brings you here? There's no one by that name here. Please, you should go back. However, Ding Nguyet looked very dissatisfied and complained, No, that's impossible. I was told to come to the Bok residence and yet... Steward Han remained firm and replied, I already told you. We've never even heard of a one-stroke master. Suddenly, Hiento whispered, I wonder who that could be. At that same moment, a thought flashed through Duonghui's mind. She's finally here. Hiento couldn't help but eye Duonghai suspiciously, then suddenly spoke up. Brother, you've been causing trouble again, haven't you? As soon as he finished, Duonghai quickly denied it. When have I ever caused trouble? Your words hurt this big brother's heart, really. Even so, Hiento remained skeptical and asked, Are you sure? Since you arrived here, has there been a single day of peace? Hiento thought back to the first time they met, saying slowly, Even on your very first day here. You blackmailed the Bloodblade Gang 9, and during our training sessions I noticed your martial arts were absurdly high, even though I have no idea where you came from. Hiento suddenly pointed out one of Duonghui's weak spots. And the other day you extorted a few thousand taels from the Green Snake Gang too. Extorted, I took that dirty money to use for a good cause, that's all. The more they talked, the worse Duonghui's expression became, and he tried to deflect. Hiento continued, And now I hear you're even writing novels. Mom and Genyi haven't stopped praising how good they are. Who are you really, big brother? Don't tell me you're actually some ancient monster who underwent rejuvenation and is just pretending to be a kid. As soon as he said that, Duonghui jumped, his face turning pale. He started laughing nervously. An ancient monster? Are you kidding me? How could that even be possible? However, inside his mind, a terrifying thought crossed his path. If I count my previous life, that guess might not be entirely wrong. You brat! Your senses are sharp, returning to reality. Hiento lowered his head, his voice softening. To be honest, at first I really hated having a brother out of nowhere. These words stunned Duonghui, but Dad already had me. Why would he go and adopt another child? And at that moment, Hiento's mind was filled with feelings of insecurity because of this new brother. I thought I would lose the attention, hope, and affection that belonged to me. And because of that, he always looked at Duonghui with resentment. That's why I couldn't stand him. If I accepted him, I felt like there wouldn't be a place for me left in this family. However, one day, everything changed. Hiento recalled, but I soon realized it. During their training sessions, Nguyen couldn't help but feel exhausted, constantly whining, Big brother, I can't do it anymore, I'm completely spent. She collapsed to the ground and shouted, Let's stop here for today, let's head inside. Immediately, Hiento agreed, Yeah, that works. All right, we've worked hard today, let's go in. Not only that, everyone present was complaining, I'm so tired, time to sleep, I'm going to take a bath first. You go to sleep before me. Suddenly a sound caught Hiento's attention. He instinctively blurted out, What's that noise? At that moment, what Hiento witnessed was Duonghui diligently training. His eyes were full of determination. This shocking sight left Hiento frozen, thinking to himself, What even in that condition, he's still training? And what's with those sandbags? He looks like he's about to collapse any second. How could he possibly keep going like that? Still, he chose to walk away, telling himself, Forget it. I'll let him tire himself out until he stops. I'm going to sleep. Time passed, and soon the morning light appeared. Hien-tu walked out feeling refreshed, whispering, "That was a good sleep. Should I warm up a bit?" Before starting the day. Suddenly Hien-tu peeked into the training yard. The moment he saw Duong Huai holding a wooden sword, he instinctively exclaimed, "Is someone here before me?" It was. You keep staring at the sword in your hand, a sight that leaves Hien-tu stunned. "What on earth?" he gasps. Watching Yang He work so hard, he can't help but feel completely shaken, lost in his own wild guesses. He's been training all night long, and he's even added more sandbags than before, and he's using a real sword. What in the world is he doing? Suddenly, Yang He's eyes snap wide open, glinting with a sharp intensity. He delivers his first strike with absolute precision, and that's not all. Every follow-up strike is filled with total determination. Yang Hai trains until he's drenched in sweat, refusing to rest. Seeing this, Hien-tu nearby is left speechless. He looks at him with eyes full of admiration, silently marveling. The three heavens-shattering sword moves. They're exactly like father's. Big Brother has already mastered the three heavens-shattering sword. Suddenly, Yang Hai wipes the sweat from his brow and glances to the side. As he unstraps his sandbags, he finally speaks, "Oh, Hien-tu, what's up? Why are you up so early?" A warm, bright smile spreads across Yang Hui's face as he cheerily asks, "Out for practice so early in the morning. That's commendable. How about it? Do you want Big Brother to give you a hand?" Hien-tu is still frozen in shock, but it only takes a moment before he snaps out of it. He reaches out and grabs Yang He's hand. Yang He suddenly bursts into laughter and teases him, "Hien-tu, you'll be able to master the three heavens-shattering sword soon enough. Can you keep up with me?" "Right." As soon as he finishes, Hien-tu feels a bit bashful and quickly asks, "Really, can I actually do it? I'll give it everything I've got. Where should we start?" Hearing this, Yang Hai offers endless praise. "Tonight I'll teach you step by step. First, we'll start with these sandbags." This makes the other boy panic and yell, "What? Why are these things so heavy?" In that moment, Hien-tu has a realization. So this is what it feels like to have a big brother. Turning to reality. His voice remains steady. "Lately, I just want to show off to everyone," Hien-tu says, puffing out his chest with pride. "I have the coolest, most reliable big brother in the whole world." Those were the words he wanted to say. They make Yang Huai smile with deep satisfaction. A thought quickly flashes through his mind. Hien-tu the kid is calling me big brother so naturally now. In his past life, that arrogant brat never called him that, not even once. The memory of Hien-tu's angry face from that past life suddenly appears when he shouted, "I never acknowledged a beggar like you as my brother." Returning to the present, Yang Hui gently pats Hien-tu's head, feeling a surge of joy, and says, "All right, Hien, the big brother will earn plenty of money, and then I'll buy you all the tasty treats you want." Yang Hai's smile is now filled with pure happiness. Let's go out and play together now. At the same time, a thought crosses his mind. Since when did this kid become so adorable? Hien-tu, though still a bit dazed, quickly gathers his spirits. He starts messing around with the other. Only Din Nguyen is left standing there, helplessly crying out, "Master Yacht Buthan Van, where are you? Master Yacht Buthan Van." The scene shifts to a luxurious manner. Din Nguyen flashes a refreshed smile and speaks loudly, having just received a letter from the Bok family. "From Bok Tri Bookstore in Nam Suong, I rushed right over here. My name is Chu Din Nguyen." She slowly bows, hands folded in front of her, and adds, "Please forgive me for barging in so suddenly." Yang Hai politely replies, "It's no problem at all." Suddenly, Din Nguyen stares intently at him. She lets out a soft laugh, unable to hide her shock, and says slowly, "But I have to admit I am completely blown away. I just can't believe it. The true identity of Master Yacht Buthan Van is actually an 8-year-old young master." The more she talks, the more absorbed she becomes, laughing heartily and praising him. Looking at the power in these strokes and this writing style, "I truly thought you were an old master, at least 40 years old. My eye for talent seems to be quite poor indeed." However, Yang Hui, sitting across from her, keeps denying it, not at all. "My skills still have a long way to go." That's what he says on the surface. But inside he's screaming. Actually, she's pretty spot on. If I add my age from my past life, I'd be around that age anyway. Suddenly, Din Nguyet's expression turns serious. She speaks calmly, "I Chu Din Nguyet work in business. I've never cared about age or gender, but why did you send this manuscript to me?" She looks sharply at the book on the table. "I don't think you just let me read it for fun, do you?" As soon as she finishes, Yang Hai across the table feels intrigued and praises her. "I really appreciate your straightforwardness. In that case, I won't beat around the bush either. Just like that, he bluntly states his wish. I want to sell my books through Bok Tree Bookstore. These words leave Nguyen stunned. She thinks to herself. So the young master really does intend to sell this manuscript. But he's still so naive. No matter how good the story is, a book can't become a bestseller just because it's entertaining. And thinking that, she slowly explained that while she appreciated me bringing this book from our shop, there was a fundamental issue with it since novels and these kinds of casual stories are usually mostly spread by word of mouth through the storytellers at Din Nguyet Tea House. She sincerely advised that no matter how well a story is bound into a book, hardly anyone is willing to spend their own money to buy it to read. She held up the book and concluded, so it's very difficult to put a realistic price on this single manuscript. However, Duong Hai nonchalantly remarked, it will sell like hotcakes. Duong Hai flashed a confident smile and insisted, people will soon be willing to pay a high price just to read this manuscript, I guarantee it. Duong Hai couldn't stop thinking about the future and secretly guessed. Even though it was a matter of the future, it would turn out exactly like that. As soon as the book launched, the news spread like wildfire, creating an explosive craze. People were ready to open their wallets to buy the book, no longer having the patience to wait for the storyteller to hear it read anymore. Suddenly, Din Nguyet tapped the table and spoke up in a skeptical tone. You're pretty confident, young master, aren't you? She kept pressing. Are you trying to say, you can write a story so good that people will scramble over each other just to buy it first? Even so? Duong Hai confidently asked back, haven't you read the manuscript I wrote yet? He offered a playful smile. In my head, I still have hundreds more ideas, for stories just as good as this one. The next words out of Duong Hui's mouth left Din Nguyet stunned, and of course their quality wouldn't be any less than this one. However, she burst into loud laughter and teased over 100 books. This reaction left Duong Hui incredibly surprised. Suddenly, Din Nguyet's eyes lit up. She grabbed Duong Hui's hand, her mouth shouting in disbelief. Young master, you absolutely must partner with our Bok Tree bookstore. I promise I won't let you down. Din Nguyet's eyes right now had become incredibly sparkly. She praised him profusely, honestly. The moment I read your work, I knew it right away. This will make a fortune. As a merchant from a family of multi-generational business owners, my instincts have never been wrong. Who knew a treasure like you was hiding in plain sight? All this time, even the heavens must be shocked. This intense action made Duong Hui a bit spooked. All right, I get it. Let go of my hand first. Hearing that, Din Nguyet flusteredly explained, I was just too excited, that's all. Meanwhile, Duong Hai acted terrified and muttered, Chu Din Nguyet, so this is what you're really like. Not long after, at the Bok Chi Trading Guild, the place was so bustling that Duong Hui had to praise it. Currently, it was just a modest little bookstore, but in 15 years, it would be famous across the realm, like a giant commercial empire. The image of Din Nguyet slowly emerged in his mind, and the person who had expanded the Bok Chi Guild to such a scale was none other than Chu Din Nguyet. Returning to reality. Duong Hai slowly gave a smug smile and thought to himself, so the rumors about her having a nose incredibly sensitive to money are true. Seeing the future owner of that massive guild with my own eyes, I totally believe it now. Nat but Than Van's novels will definitely rake in the cash, and I'm talking about a terrifying amount of money. Suddenly, Din Nguyet across from him spoke up. Truth be told, the real reason I came here today was because I wanted to see for myself what kind of person Not but Than Van really is. As soon as she finished, Duong Hai nonchalantly asked back, well, what do you think? Did I meet your expectations? Hearing that, she quickly replied, of course I'm more than satisfied. Din Nguyet appeared incredibly excited and introduced, up until now, novels were usually just by storytellers at the tea houses, right? But I believe you Not but Than Van will break that convention and completely change the landscape of the market. These words made Duong Hui extremely interested. Young master, I want the exclusive rights to your manuscripts at Bok Tree. My bookstore will give you 40% of the profits. Immediately after that, he agreed, deal, let's try doing it this way. Duong Hai pointed to his own hand and explained, every time we publish a batch of books, we will number the editions, and in each edition I will leave a signature in exactly 10 books. Those signed copies will only be sold to the first 10 buyers. The more he spoke, the more excited he became, imagining the first version as essentially a high-end limited edition. When Nat but Than Van's reputation grows, the value of those signed copies will skyrocket. These words also occupied Din Nguyet's mind. She kept calculating. We should decorate those 10 books with gold thread and sell them for an astronomical price. But if we do that, the production costs will— Duonghui interrupted. Speaking of production costs. Immediately after, he took out a wooden chest, and what was inside made her eyes widen in shock. Duonghai excitedly proposed, "What if I invested about 4,000 silver taels into Bok Tri bookstore?" At this point, Din Nguyet was blinded by the sparkle. She kept shouting, 4,000 silver taels! She hugged Duonghai tightly, continuously exclaiming, "Oh my God, you really are an invaluable treasure. Where have you been hiding all this time? From now on, big sis, will spoil you rotten." Din Nguyet became increasingly cheesy. "Come here, let big sis give you a kiss." This scene terrified him, and he yelled, "No, let me go." In the end, Duonghai was helpless. As the sunset faded, Din Nguyet smiled with satisfaction and said, "I'll be back soon with good news, my dear investor." Meanwhile, Duonghai complained, "Get out of here already." Meanwhile, Chief Steward Han on the side clicked his tongue in admiration. "In the blink of an eye, you've gone from young master to dear investor, huh?" Suddenly, Din Nguyet stepped in. In the business world, when someone hands over 4,000 taels of silver, showing them absolute respect is the golden rule. No sooner had she finished than Duonghui quickly replied, "That's fair. I'll write up 2 more drafts and send them to you. From now on, I'm counting on you." "Chief Treasurer," the other party countered with a proposal. "Just leave it to me, my dear investor. I'll be eagerly waiting for your next thrilling story." With that, she turned and walked away, leaving behind only the words, "Saddle up and hit the road." Watching Din Nguyet's retreating figure made Duonghai feel even more confident. He thought to himself, Chu Din Nguyet, the future head of the Bok Chi Merchant Association. Her ability and ambition are truly astonishing. On Din Nguyet's side, she couldn't help but feel intrigued. This is even more promising than I imagined. Meanwhile, Duonghui couldn't help but think with a hint of annoyance, even if her personality is a bit shocking. Suddenly, Chief Steward Han whispered in a low voice, "Forgive me, young master, but how much did you make this time?" Before the words were even out, he blankly blurted out, "Make money, what?" Hearing this, Chief Steward Han looked expectant and whispered, "Well, last time you swindled the black market thugs, and then you swindled the guys from the Green Snake Gang. So shouldn't it be our turn to collect now? We haven't even paid the servants yet, and now it's our turn to go broke. The Bok estate is already looking pretty bare. Is the money you made today enough to cover all of that?" This enthusiasm made Duonghai feel strange. That was money he had originally planned to spend, but hearing the old man put it that way felt complicated. Still, the other side kept pleading, "Do it. Please just do it, I'm begging you, young master." This behavior left him feeling helpless, thinking to himself, "I feel like I'm being led around by the nose by a ghost killed by poverty." However, a moment later, Duonghai broke into a triumphant smile and thought, "But seeing this side of Chief Steward Han isn't half bad, actually." Suddenly, he said in the casual tone, "Who says I'm definitely going to spend all that money? I'm just going to take Hintu and Yin Yin out for some good food." This comment left the Chief Steward stunned. He kept babbling, "Young master, I don't know what that is, but please share that cunning, devilish plan of yours with this humble servant." A few days later, Xiu Nak shouted, demanding, "Come on, little brother, spill it." He glared ahead, enunciating every word. "You promised you'd help me win over my love. Long right. Is that not right? I trusted you and waited all these days, yet I haven't seen a shadow of her. You really want me to go and escort her myself, don't you? Isn't that right?" Seeing his rage, Duonghai trembled and stammered, "Of course, little brother, if I deceive you, just see what happens." As soon as he finished, the other man yelled furiously, "I'll tear you limb from limb and hang you all over Jiangxi, Hunan, and Zhejiang." Meanwhile, Duonghui worriedly speculated, "I haven't stepped out of the house in days. It seems Qunak's patience has finally reached its limit." Bok Duonghai had been captured by Qunak. 1 hour before Bok Duonghai was captured, birds circled the sky incessantly, and everything seemed to sink into an invisible silence. Hien Tu was still struggling to hold the heavy stone in his hands. His body shook with exhaustion. Suddenly, Hien Tu opened his eyes and gasped, "Brother, how much longer do I have to hold this position?" Duonghai turned back with a mischievous grin. The next second, he tapped Hien Tu and reminded him, "Your arm is dropping. I told you to push your hips back further, didn't I?" Duonghai kept muttering, "The 6 harmonies technique passed down through generations of the Bok family has the power to harmonize internal and external energy, and it draws in natural energy through the 6 paths of harmony, to temper both the inside and outside of the body." These words left Hien Tu blank. Helpless, he complained, "I have no idea what you're talking about." Hearing this, Duonghai calmly explained again. Let's put it simply. The more your body suffers, the stronger you get. So don't you dare slack off on any of the training exercises I've given you. Suddenly, Heinta collapsed to the ground. I kept refusing. I can't take it anymore, brother. I'm completely drained. Meanwhile, Duonghai laughed in amusement and reassured him, Be good. You've done well to be this persistent. Ngien Ngien from behind didn't stop cheering for Hiento either. You're amazing, brother. Carrying such a heavy load for a full hour, and you're still alive. As soon as she finished, Hiento irritably snapped. Who said I was alive, I mean? Who said I was dead, you little girl? The sight made Duonghai sigh to himself. The kid's pretty good. At least he didn't run away. A moment later, Duonghai softly said, I should probably take a break too. He sat down on the ground and thought, this training is really exhausting. Suddenly, Ngien whispered in his ear, Are you tired too, Brother Hai? How could I be tired? He's a monster who doesn't know the meaning of fatigue. These thoughts made Duonghai fall into deep reflection. No matter how much martial arts knowledge or experience he had, his current body was too small, lacking the necessary strength and endurance. To unleash his true power, he suddenly leaned back and shouted, leaving the others bewildered. Suddenly, Duonghui realized his body in his past life wasn't like this at all. All of a sudden, someone's shoes appeared, breaking his train of thought. The person with the rippling muscles was none other than Kunyak, and the moment he appeared, Duonghai's eyes widened and he instinctively blurted out, That's it. That's the kind of muscles I need, huge and rippling. Before he could finish, the other man began to question him. What kind of rippling muscles are you talking about here? The atmosphere became incredibly awkward. Duonghui was terrified and shouted in helplessness, Big brother, how long have you been here? If you had just given me a heads up, I would have been at the gate to welcome you. It's that uncle from the market who hung out with us. Immediately after, the man stood up and indifferently replied, All right. I hate noise, so I just climbed over the wall. This made the other person instinctively blurt out, Weird. A thought suddenly flashed through Duonghui's mind. Isn't the Bok family estate a bit too undefended? I mean, it's supposed to be a prestigious martial arts family. He didn't stop praising him. As expected of a high-level expert, you're on a different level. Even so, Kunyak remained silent. The martial arts of our Bok family. In your eyes, it mustn't look like child's play, right? Immediately after, he calmly commented, The Bok family's martial arts seem good for building a solid foundation, but honestly, if you want to reach the peak level, it's lacking quite a bit. As soon as he finished, Duonghai excitedly replied, Exactly. People say it's because many important mantras were lost. At the same time, a thought flashed through his mind. That's why in my past life I improved our family's joint cultivation technique. Images of Duonghui from his past life flooded back along with the resolution to create a new technique called the Heavenly Harmony Art. But in reality, everything before Duonghui had already changed. But by the time I returned, with the perfected technique, the Bok family estate had already completely collapsed. Suddenly, someone grabbed Duonghai's hand. A look of determination appeared on his face as he whispered to himself, It's not too late yet. This time, no matter what. Suddenly, Kunyak spoke up, regardless the brat. He suppressed his anger and forced a reluctant smile. Looks like you and I need to go on a little trip. Before Duonghai could process everything he asked, bewildered, Go where? However, the other man raised his voice. Don't ask so many questions, just follow me. Right after that, he was dragged away. Duonghai couldn't help but be stunned and shouted, What are you doing, big brother? Hearing this, Kunyak angrily snapped, What, you want to die because of those kinds of jokes, huh? Stay still. Below, Hientu and Ngieng. Ngieng anxiously cried out, He's flying, while Duonghui frantically shouted, Guys, they've been dragged away. Hurry and tell father. As soon as he finished, Ngieng naively cheered, Big brother's been kidnapped, while Hiento was extremely panicked and reminded them, This isn't the time to just stare. Hurry and call father faster. Duonghai, high up in the air, was completely dizzy. He still couldn't process what was happening. And now, Duonghai and Kunyak were sitting facing each other. Kunyak slowly said, This is my place, so we can talk comfortably here. Immediately after that, Duonghai looked around, assessing, I see. Thinking back, this place wasn't far from where they ate noodles last time. Suddenly, the other man spoke up. Hey, what's wrong with you? You haven't even blinked once. Other kids your age, if they were being dragged through the air like this, would have been crying their eyes out and peeing their pants already. As soon as he finished, Duonghai remarked, We were actually flying just now. He tried to force a reluctant smile. Because I trust that Big Brother would never let me fall. A hero like Big Brother who has such outstanding character is honest and handsome to boot. Would he really drop a weak kid like me? However, Cognac disgustedly replied, "Humph," still as smooth-talking as ever. Suddenly he fell into silence for a long time before slowly speaking. "Little brother, you said you'd help me marry Langlong. You promised that, and then you disappeared without a trace for days. So I had to come find you myself." Suddenly, Cognac gripped his own knee, enunciating each word with anger. "Now tell me, how exactly do you plan on doing that?" The other man's anger made Duong Hai anxious. "All right, I understand. Big Brother, please stop looking at me with that gaze, it's terrifying." The killing intent yet on the surface, he still smiled warmly and said, "Of course I didn't forget. After all, this involves Sister Lang too." As soon as he finished, the other man asked, bewildered, "What sister?" Cognac quickly changed his tune, muttering, "You little brat trying to pull a fast one." Even so, Duong Hai remained calm and said, "If she's your lover, Big Brother, then naturally she's my sister-in-law too. Isn't that right?" Hearing this, Juyuk softens. He mutters to himself, "That's exactly right." He waits for Yang Hai to uncover something. You quietly observe him and draw a conclusion. Juyuk's greatest weakness is his lover Langlong, but she is also his reverse scale. Absolutely no one is allowed to touch her. The angry memories of his past life come flooding back. When the Red Sect slaughtered Langlong, Juyuk couldn't bear it, and ultimately he chose the path of the demonic arts because he loved her so deeply. Back in reality, Juyuk puts on a sad face and whispers, "Langlong used to be a courtesan, but she has the kindest and most beautiful heart. Not only that, her manners and grace are no less than those of a high-born lady. I just want to spend the rest of my life with Langlong alone." The image of her fills his mind. It only makes him more conflicted. "But my father wants me to marry the daughter of a prestigious family. I hear she doesn't even allow her husband to have concubines. I've made a mistake. I don't want Langlong to suffer, and I can't imagine living without her, but I can't defy my father's wishes." These foolish words make Yang Hui stand there, stunned. What should I do? Suddenly he speaks up, "Brother." But the words get stuck in his throat. The love and devotion Juya has for Long is sincere. The atmosphere between the two grows quiet. That is why, when he lost her, he searched the entire Red Sect in a fit of rage. However, Yang Hai unconsciously recalls the bloodbath of the Red Sect in his past life. It wasn't done by Juyuk alone. A mysterious person gradually emerges behind it all. This person is none other than Yunqi Langlong's own biological father, the common enemy of the martial arts world. Yang Hai returns to reality with a new decision. Before Yunqi really starts his move, he must find him first. Suddenly, he confidently reassures Juyuk, "Big Brother, don't worry. I already have a brilliant plan." Down on the crowded street, everyone is gathered around a notice board. It stands out with a portrait of a young lady attracting the attention of passers-by. Sen Yan leans in close to someone nearby and asks, "What's going on that has the crowd so stirred up?" As soon as he finishes, the other person replies, "Let me see. Langlong, a courtesan from the Jade Fairy Pavilion, is looking for her biological father." Why would a courtesan be looking for her biological father? Hearing this, Sen Yan speaks up skeptically. Who says he would even bother to acknowledge a daughter who ended up as a courtesan? However, a bespectacled man nearby chimes in. Hey, Sen Yan, she is not just some ordinary courtesan." Suddenly, someone stands up to announce she's a talented artist who sells her skills, not her body, the beauty of all flowers. As soon as he speaks, someone else asks, "Is that really true?" Shortly after, an older man speaks up. Listen closely, everyone. The old man points to the portrait and says, "She sells her art, never her body." The more he speaks, the more satisfied he looks. Miss Langlong is only 15, and she is desperately looking for her father. That year on the Lantern Festival, the happy child was holding her father's hand, strolling the streets. But alas, fate is cruel. The little girl was distracted by a lantern, bright like butterfly wings, and accidentally slipped from her father's hand. The last image the father saw of his child was just a small back disappearing like a fluttering butterfly. And from then on, the child never saw her father again. The voice grows weaker in the darkness. "Father, where are you?" Langlong's weak voice echoes, "Let me see you just once to fulfill my duty as a daughter. Before I close my eyes, who can I tell this sorrow to?" Back to reality, her portrait is still there. After hearing the whole story, those present sympathize and say, "Poor girl, how heartbreaking. If you lose touch like that, how could you ever find each other?" An old man with white hair cries even harder, seeing that everyone tries to comfort him. Old man, you're crying too. Don't cry anymore. I believe the child will find her father. Seeing her must remind you of your granddaughter. It's so painful. Suddenly the host clears his throat. Luckily, the father gave her a jade pendant as a token. The shape of the jade is exactly like the one in this drawing. He points his fan toward the portrait and emphasizes, if anyone wishes to be reunited with their own flesh and blood, please come to the Bai family mansion in Ya'an County, Wu Prefecture, Jiangxi. As soon as he finishes, everyone speaks in unison. Understood. Let's give that young lady a hand. Yang Hai stands at a distance witnessing everything. He mutters to himself, the crowd's reaction is pretty good, isn't it? At the same time, a thought crosses his mind. Posting the notice at the market really was a brilliant strategy. Looking at the bustling crowd, he grows even more determined. They say rumors travel 1,000 miles. Her father appearing is just a matter of time. Thinking this, Yang Hai's face brightens. I really am a genius. Suddenly, someone standing next to him speaks softly. So heartbreaking. She suddenly bursts into tears and whispers, 25 years apart? They must miss each other so much. I really hope that child is reunited with her father soon. This scene leaves Yang Hui frozen. He calls out, Big Sister Long Long. The next words he utters leave the other party bewildered. This is your story. This person is Ju Yuk's lover Long Long. Long Long can't help but look confused and asks back, my story. She looks around in confusion and says, but I don't remember being separated from my parents at all. When I was young, from the moment I could understand things, I was already at the pleasure house learning to play the zither. And what about this jade pendant? Long Long takes out the pendant and explains, it wasn't given to me by my father. It was a gift from a guest. Suddenly, Ju Yuk appears. He calmly explains, the world loves thrilling dramatic stories. Just add a little bit to it. As soon as he finishes, Yang Hai is surprised and asks, what? However, he doesn't pay attention to him but just mutters, little brother, Long Long. Upon seeing him, Long Long quickly calls out, brother Ju Yuk Tiu. Immediately after, Ju Yuk runs to her side full of gentleness. The candy gourd you asked for. She takes the candied hawthorn and cheers happily, thanks for the treat. Suddenly, Ju Yuk looks down and says calmly while Yang Hai stays still. Little brother, I just saw the notice out there. I heard you've been writing novels lately, but I never expected your storytelling skills to be this sharp. Ju Yuk's expression shifted and he cleared his throat slightly. But, is doing this really okay? I've spent quite a bit of silver to put up those notices and spread the rumors for this whole scheme. You'd better be certain this plan is going to work. Before the words had even left his lips, the other person replied nonchalantly, you should stop worrying so much. Yang Hai wore an amused smile as he explained, just need to be a little patient. Long Long's father will definitely show up. Even so, he still comforted the other, telling him not to be so impatient. After a moment of hesitation, Ju Yuk finally spoke up. All right then, I trust that you've got everything settled. However, deep down, he still felt uneasy. Why do I get the feeling that I'm constantly being tricked by this smooth-talking guy? Suddenly, Yang Hai turned to the side and spoke up. Big Sister Long Long, for the time being, why don't you stay at the Bai family estate? Seeing these notices everywhere, I'm afraid some bad people might try to impersonate your father. These words left her looking stunned. If you stay at the Bai estate, those con artists won't be able to get close to you easily. She couldn't help but ask with suspicion, stay at the Bai family estate. Long Long looked toward Ju Yuk, seeking guidance. At that moment, he felt incredibly anxious inside. The issue of impersonators was just an excuse. I did it because I'm afraid the leader of the Hongjiaogong might try to harm her. Even so, in the end, Ju Yuk still followed Yang Hai's lead. Long Long, my younger brother, is right about that. So why don't you stay at the Bai family estate for a while? Hearing this, Long Long also agreed, all right then. When night fell, Yang Hai's voice rang out softly, since Brother Ju has said so. He stared intently at the jade pendant on the table. Yang Hai couldn't help but look contemplative. A thought flashed through his mind. Surely she must have no idea. The jade pendant suddenly shimmered in the darkness, sparking a memory for Yang Hui. This pendant had been infused with internal energy. It must have served its purpose well as a protective amulet for a child. According to Long Long, she told him, I've had this jade pendant since I was very small. Back then I was working as a laborer at a tavern when a customer gave it to me. She suddenly remembered that mysterious person. That person said this pendant would always protect her and warned her to always keep it with her. At the time, they had said it with a very serious look on their face. The person also warned her never to sell it. At the moment she received the gift, Long Long had felt incredibly happy. I used to wonder if I should have accepted something so valuable, without any real reason to, but because the patterns were so beautiful and looked so luxurious, I always wore it on me. After saying that, the mysterious person turned and walked away. Even now as she spoke, Long Long became emotional. It felt like a protective charm, so I just kept wearing it. She couldn't help but think giving a precious jade pendant made of top-tier white nephrite and infused with internal energy to a tavern servant girl, returning to reality. Yang Hai held the pendant in his hand and muttered, "There is absolutely no way this happened for no reason." Suddenly he noticed something unusual. The door behind Yang Hai suddenly creaked open. He couldn't help but feel suspicious and muttered, "Finally you've appeared." Someone was standing in the shadows. This person was Yu Wenji, and according to Yang Hui's memories, the father of Long Long, the public enemy of the martial arts world, Yu Wenji. Yang Hui mused. He glanced at the jade pendant in his hand and muttered, "It seems the owner of the jade pendant has finally appeared. Time to go out and say hello," he exclaimed excitedly. "Long Long's biological father!" Just then outside, Yu Wenji was already standing there as if waiting for Yang Hui's conclusion. The public enemy of the martial arts world, Yu Wenji. As night fell and the bright moonlight illuminated everything, Yu Wenji stood alone on the roof in the night breeze. Suddenly Yang Hai's voice drifted over. "Senior, you seem to quite enjoy the full moon, don't you?" As soon as the words left his lips, the man cast his gaze to the side. At that very moment, Yang Hai was standing there with an amused smile. Seeing this, Yu Wenji only responded vaguely. "The older one gets, the less one sleeps." But suddenly he changed the subject. "More importantly, what brings a young master who should be fast asleep growing up out at this hour of the night?" As the words faded, Yang Hai burst into a loud laugh. He pulled out the jade pendant and said suggestively, "This thing wouldn't stop shaking and it made it impossible for me to close my eyes." But immediately after, Yang Hai waved his hands repeatedly and explained, "Don't misunderstand. I borrowed this with Lang Long's permission." He cheerfully clasped his hands in front of him and introduced himself. "I am the adopted son of the Bai family estate Bai Yang Hai. I'm sure you already knew that before you came here, senior. Right, isn't that so?" Immediately after, Yang Hai continued, "The public enemy of the martial arts world, the greatest fraud under heaven, Senior Yu Wenji." Hearing this, Yu Wenji revealed a look of astonishment. He couldn't help but ask with suspicion, "How do you know that?" However, the other man replied in a drawn-out tone, "That's not the only thing I know." Yang Hui wore a triumphant smile and said to himself, "The public enemy of the martial arts world, Yu Wenji." Meanwhile, the man opposite him revealed an expression of extreme caution. "Initially, you weren't even a martial artist, but a brilliant artisan specialized in restoring ancient books and artifacts. But it was that very exceptional talent, accidentally ruining Yu Wenji's life again." Everything flashes back to 25 years ago. Long Long sits beside him, endlessly praising how beautiful his painting is. Her joy makes her mother beside her happy too. "It's wonderful, dear," she says slowly. "Please have some tea while you work." As soon as she finishes, Wenty replies, "Thank you." In a small antique shop, his life was incredibly simple. With his gentle, beautiful wife and lovely daughter, Yu Wenty spent his days, calm and peaceful. Then one day someone came looking for him with a threatening tone. "I hear your craft is top tier," the man ordered arrogantly. "Make me an exact copy of this." This man was from the Blood Snake sect, an evil faction from Guizhou. They approached Yu Wenty and hired him to forge a treasure map. Despite this, Wenty worked diligently. I had no idea what their true intentions were. Yu Wenty made the map as requested. He worked day and night until the final product was finished, and the Blood Snake sect spread this fake map. Luring righteous martial artists into a trap, the Blood Snake sect ambushed Wenty. He and his men lunged in to cause chaos. In the blink of an eye, Wenty's group was surrounded. The righteous warriors caught off guard were completely helpless against the Blood Snake sect's trap. In the end, the descendants of the Huangfu clan, one of the 5 great families, were completely massacred. This event became widely known later as the Sword King's Tomb Blood Massacre. At that same moment, Wenty was running alone in the rain. He was desperately fleeing reality. Everything seemed clear afterward. Yu Wenti, the one who made the fake map, had to bear the full wrath of the Huangfu clan who had just lost their heir. All Wenti had left was a piece of jade. He was branded as an enemy of the martial world and became a fugitive with nowhere to hide during that process. Yu Wenti lost his wife and was separated from his only young daughter. He gritted his teeth in regret, telling himself that as a father he no longer had the face to go on. Looking up at life, he had vanished from the world. Just like that, Wenti left the crowds behind, leaving behind only a single protective amulet for his daughter, with a prayer that she might live in peace. All of this leaves Yang Hai in the present lost in deep thought. But upon learning that the daughter he was dedicated to protecting had been murdered by the leader of the Hong sect, Yu Wenti had caused a bloodbath at the Hong sect and perished together with them. Yang Hai suddenly opens his eyes back in the present, but this life is different. He cautiously observes the Wenti before him and offers his assessment. Yu Wenti, if you can become a force for the Bai family, I will ensure you can spend the rest of your life beside your daughter. Suddenly, the other man speaks up. Young master, please go on. What else do you have to say? As he finished, a cold wind blew. Yang Hai quickly regained his composure and said calmly, I will explain. I know that Lang Long's lover is Ju Yuk, the son of the Hong sect leader. What he uttered left Wenti utterly shocked. And his father, that sect leader, considers her a thorn in his side and is looking for a way to eliminate her. Him. He couldn't hide his agitation and shouted, What did you say? Wenti lunged toward Yang Hai, questioning him repeatedly. Is the Hong sect leader targeting my daughter? As soon as he finished, Yang Hai quickly confirmed, That's right. Furthermore, Lady Lang Long has been poisoned. Hearing this, Wenti was shaken and asked back, What, she's been poisoned? Seeing his curiosity, he honestly revealed, That was also the work of the Hong sect leader. Yang Hai calmly recounted everything. He had been putting small doses of poison into her tea, that she drinks every day, slowly taking her life. Hearing this, Wenti felt immense pain and bit his lip. Suddenly, Yang Hai continued, If this keeps up, Lady Lang Long will certainly... Suddenly, Wenti interrupted. Listen here, young master. He was filled with fury and rising determination. My daughter is currently at the Bai estate, not the Hong sect. And you used every trick in the book to lure me here. Yet you talk about poison. Wenti's rage boiled over. He shouted, Did you not bring Lang Long to the Bai estate because you wanted something from me? Tell me what is your true intent, right now. A surge of killing intent quickly lunged forward to overwhelm Yang Hai. Even so, he still wore a calm smile. Yang Hai spoke slowly. Senior, please don't misunderstand. What he said left the other man stunned. My goal is to see Lady Lang Long and Ju Yuk live happily together for the rest of their lives. Wenti was quite surprised to hear this, but what he focused on more was impossible. He had extinguished his own presence with just a single stomp of his foot, not waiting for the other to recover. Yang Hai continued, Of course, a biological father who hasn't met her in a long time should also be by her side. In the name of a descendant of a righteous family, I give you my honor as a guarantee. Please trust me. Hearing this, Wenti's view of the other changed. Who on earth is this child? Could he really be? The two just stared at each other for a long while. Suddenly, Wenti burst into loud laughter. He admitted to himself, Perhaps I really am old. The sad look on Wenti's face was clear as he confessed, Whether it's the righteous or evil factions, to me they are all a bunch of scheming demons anyway. Just tell me what your scheme is. Yang Hai smiled gently and went along with it. Senior, you're right. I am indeed plotting and scheming. I will make the sects in Akan County slaughter each other and wipe them out completely. And in all of that. Suddenly he made an offer. I need your help, Senior Yu. And afterward, at a luxurious mansion, Ju Yuk couldn't help but shout in agitation, What, Lang Long has been poisoned? How? He kept cursing, asking what kind of person with the audacity of heaven dared to do this. However, Yang Hai calmly reassured him, Don't worry, brother. Fortunately, it was discovered early. So the detoxification shouldn't be a problem. The doctor said she only needs to rest for a few days to fully recover. He revealed his concern and added, And it seems she was poisoned before coming to the Bai estate, so it's quite clear who is behind this. These words left Ju Yuk stunned for a long time. He hung his head low, gritting out every word. Father, why on earth would you want to kill Lang Long? Ju Yuk's resentful voice echoed everywhere. Perhaps he wants to get rid of her quickly to proceed with your marriage, or perhaps he wants to use her, holding her hostage to control you. Yang Hai suddenly lifted his head, his gaze firm as he reminded him, Brother. 9. This isn't the time to worry about whether the gang leader will accept you or not. You have to make a choice. Just as he finished speaking, Nine fell silent. Was it Lang Long or the Red Sect? He clenched his fists in frustration. Nine was truly caught in a difficult spot. To the Red Sect leader, I'm nothing more than a warrior, his daughter's escort, a political pawn for a marriage alliance with another sect. But the words he spoke started to choke him up as he thought of Lang Long. To me, Lang Long is the only one who matters. Without her, I can't go on. Nine's eyes now held only deep resentment. He roared, so no matter what anyone says, I will protect Lang Long at all costs. Hearing this, Yang Hai smiled slightly as he looked at him. I was quite satisfied. As expected, Nine chose his woman. Yang He had only been testing him. He knew that even though Nine belonged to a dark sect, his nature wasn't evil. Moreover, the one keeping him from falling completely into the demonic path was none other than Miss Lang's influence. He calculated silently. It was only a matter of time before Nine left the Red Sect for her. At this rate, bringing Nine into the White Camp wouldn't be too difficult. However, life is unpredictable. I need to drive this wedge a little deeper. Yang Hui covered his face and let out a long, heavy sigh. But Brother Nine, do you really think the Red Sect leader will just let you walk away so easily? Nine looked blankly confused. What do you mean? Yang Hai replied dejectedly. Even if it's just for the sake of his pride, he'll never let you leave peacefully. By then, the two of you will only be left to live a life on the run. Yang Hai added, and with Miss Lang's frail health, how much hardship can she really endure? Nine frowned, scowling as he snapped, You brat, you have no manners. How dare you spout such unlucky nonsense in front of me? I was fuming, pointing a finger directly at Yang Hui. Stop babbling. Hurry up and tell me your plan. I know that cunning, wicked brain of yours all too well. Yang Hai realized that mentioning Miss Lang really made him sharp. He scrambled to cover his tracks. All right, you scared me so much I even forgot what I was going to say. Calm down, will you? Yang Hai coolly proposed, the plan is simple. Fight fire with fire. Let the dark factions destroy each other. Nine was stunned. Let the dark factions wipe each other out. How? How is that even possible? Yang Hai said smugly, I'm going to release a secret martial arts manual. Scene shifts to the Green Snake Gang headquarters. A subordinate rushed in panicked. Leader, are you there? The leader barked in annoyance. What's all that racket about? This was the leader of the Green Snake Gang. The subordinate held out a book stammering, Leader, please look at this. This is a technique that counters the first three moves of the rock-shattering palm, the hereditary martial art of the Red Sect. The Green Snake leader opened the book, his jaw dropping in shock. What? He broke into a cold sweat, stunned. Is this for real? The Green Snake leader shouted excitedly. It really is a counter to the Red Sect's martial arts. Where on earth did you get this? He glared at the subordinate and demanded, Explain yourself clearly. The man quickly recounted that an anonymous expert had sent it to their gang, asking them to help him take revenge on the Red Sect on his behalf. The Green Snake leader raised his hand. The martial world is vast and indeed full of mysterious experts. Heaven is helping our Green Snake Gang spread this counter technique to the entire gang immediately. He wore a wicked grin. This time, those lifelong enemies of ours will get what's coming to them. Elsewhere, under a gloomy, deserted sky, a chair was thrown hard against a wall. The Green Snake Gang marched in confidently. They launched a surprise attack on the Red Sect without warning. The Red Sect members immediately charged into battle. Even though the Red Sect's forces were twice as large as the Green Snake's, one Red Sect fighter filled with energy swung his weapon down toward his opponent's head. But before he could land the blow, he had already been slashed back by a single move from a Green Snake member. I was defeated miserably. Both sides clashed fiercely, but thanks to the secret technique, the Green Snake Gang easily gained the upper hand. Suddenly, two women peeked out, sneaking a look at the bloody scene inside. As soon as they looked inside, the door was slammed shut. Shortly after, the windows were sealed tight. The bloody battle continued through the night. The sudden chaos between the two major dark factions forced all the residents of Akan County to bolt their doors. No one dared to step outside. The next morning, Vo Luong frowned and spoke. The Green Snake Gang and the Red Sect have gone to all-out war. He sternly warned the young ones, It's very chaotic out there these days. Limit your time outdoors, is that clear? Do you hear me? Vo Luong stared intently at Yang Hai, emphasizing especially you Hai. He was startled and replied, Yes, sir. Yang Hai laughed and asked, What about me? He closed his eyes and sighed heavily. Akan County has always had poor public security because of these dark factions, but I heard that lately. It's become dangerous even to walk the streets in broad daylight. General Manager Han chimed in. From what I've gathered, the Green Snake Gang is cornering the Red Sect. He lowered his voice. It's rumored that the Green Snake Gang happened to obtain a secret technique that counters the Red Sect's martial arts. They must have met some hidden expert who gifted it to them. In a world full of experts, such a stroke of luck isn't impossible. Dronzer chuckled and asked, so what if it's my own child? He closed his eyes and let out a heavy sigh. Akan County has long been suffering because of the rampant evil sects, but I heard that lately. Even walking around in broad daylight has become dangerous. The chief steward, Han, suddenly recounted, from what I've gathered, the Green Snake Gang is cornering the Red Religion Gang. He continued in a low voice. Rumor has it that the Green Snake Gang has been lucky enough to acquire secret techniques to counter the Red Religion Gang's martial arts. They must have encountered some hidden master who passed it on to them. There are countless experts in the martial arts world. It's not impossible to stumble upon such a stroke of luck. You indifferently think everything is going smoothly. The two people standing across from you are also buzzing about what happened last night. Duong Hui smiles, anticipating the Red Sect's reaction. They must have realized the existence of the technique that counters them and are likely panicking. They are definitely going crazy, wondering how the Green Snake Gang found out about it. You recall the past. The secret manual to counter the Red Sect's martial arts, which I gave to the Green Snake Gang, is something I compiled after countless battles with the Red Sect in my previous life. Duong Hai smirks, calculating. Remembering Yuvantich's superb forgery skills, I have created a secret manual that looks exactly like the real thing. I funneled it to the Green Snake Gang. Now that they have practiced it and made their move, it is time for me to release the next manual. But before that, you suddenly speak up, Father, about that matter. If our white stockade gets involved, could we reap the fisherman's profit from this dispute? No. Volung is slightly surprised. Reap the fisherman's profit? He asks, puzzled. What do you mean by that? Duong Hai proposes a plan. The white stockade will step in to mediate between the Red Sect and the Green Snake Gang. Scene change to a Manhwa tower, the Red Sect's territory. A Red Sect subordinate is pushed to the floor. He groans in pain. The Green Snake crowd curses arrogantly. You damn Red Sect dogs, your broken martial arts moves have all been shattered. The leader scoffs scornfully. Look at your pathetic faces. Have you realized the power of our Green Snake Gang yet? The Red Sect subordinate grinds his teeth in anger. You sons of bitches! He curses, inwardly frustrated. Damn it, every move I throw is blocked by them. How can we win fighting like this? What should we do now? The Green Snake leader swings his sword, laughing cunningly. He brings the blade down and shouts, Die and get it over with. Suddenly, an axe strikes. Kunak appears, blocking a strike from the Green Snake leader. The guy shouts angrily, You! The Red Sect subordinate is stunned and calls out, Young master! He cheers loudly. Big brother Kunak! He grinds his teeth in anger. These bastards have guts as big as the sky. Kunak roars fiercely. Daring to call me Kunak? You little brats must be tired of living right. I let you go last time because you are the White Stockade's young master, you know? The Red Sect subordinate explains awkwardly. No, it's just that I was so happy to see you again. Spare me. The Green Snake leader is fearful and hesitant. It's Kunak. He is an early-stage first-class master. The guy next to him still talks tough. Don't be afraid. Even if he is first class, if his martial arts are countered, he won't be able to do anything. The others follow along. That's right. Charge in here. Kunak suddenly has someone enter. Did you hear that, brother? Brother Kunak, the rumors that the Green Snake Gang had a stroke of luck and obtained the move to counter the Red Sect are true. He furrows his brow, sweating. The young Duong Hui smiles at Kunak. The guy is startled and panicked. Who the hell are you? Don't think that just because you're a brat, I'll go easy on you. The guy next to him tries to stop him awkwardly. Wait, he's just a kid. You walk in calmly. Cool down, cool down. As for who is going easy on whom here, Dronghai glances at them and slowly argues, I'm afraid you have made a huge mistake. The Green Snake crowd shouts in surprise. What? You hand something to him, brother Kukach, Kunak asks, bewildered. This is... Dronghai replies with a loud laugh. That's right. A cunning smile blooms on Duonghai's face. This is the secret manual to counter the Green Snake Gang's martial arts. Now it's your turn to counterattack. Kunak cannot help but be astonished. What? The Green Snake crowd is startled and shocked. You say that is the secret technique to counter our gang's martial arts? The leader points at you angrily, questioning. Don't bluff. How could you possibly? Duong Hui laughs in reply. Besides, this thing is already scattered all over the streets. The guy gasps in confusion. What? You smile satisfied to yourself, of course. Duong Hai had calculated many moves in advance. I gave the original to him. Yuvan Tich has already distributed the copied manuscripts all over the streets. Kunyak reads the book in his hand seriously. He suddenly smiles and snorts coldly. Kunyak coldly lets out a barrage. Now we have mastered the secret to breaking your martial arts. The rest is just a matter of who strikes first. Furthermore, even if you move first, a first-class master like me would never lose to the likes of you. He throws the book to the ground and provokes, if you're good enough, charge in here. Kunyak roars fiercely, that recent humiliation. I will make you pay back with both principal and interest. The Green Snake leader tries to stay calm and orders, don't back down. The Green Snake crowd screams in fear. Kunyak is about to attack. Run, hurry, he shouts angrily. You dogs stay right there. Duong Hai smiles happily, leisurely, watching the chaotic scene as the bright rays of sunlight shine down. The house was rowdy and noisy. His voice rang out frantically. Now that we have the counter technique in our hands, why should we just stand here and take it? Ninth Music shouted viciously. Who wants to go first? Or should I take the initiative? The Green Snake leader gritted his teeth, sweating nervously. A terrified underling spoke up. Gang leader, what should we do? He hesitated and said, if that really is the counter technique to Green Snake martial arts, for our gang, retreating temporarily might be the wisest move. The guy roared angrily. Shut up, you're scared, aren't you? Duong Hai smirked to himself. They're completely panicked, they have no idea what to do. Then I guess it's time for the next step. He walked up cordially. All right, everyone, let's all calm down a bit. I didn't come here to start a fight. Duong Hui waved his hand and continued. I think I need to help you all reevaluate the current situation. Objectively speaking, he smiled brightly at them. Let's start with the Red Religion gang first, shall we? Duong Hai analyzed calmly. Even though you have the techniques to counter the Green Snake gang, you haven't had time to train with them yet. A first-class expert like Brother Nine here might be able to grasp it immediately, but the rest of your men certainly can't. He gently manipulated the situation. Not to mention, many of your people are already injured. Risking a fight with the Green Snake gang right now will only lead to heavy casualties for your subordinates. Duong Hai held up one finger and asked, am I right? He closed his eyes and replied, that is true. He turned his head to look in that direction. Next is the Green So gang. The Green Snake leader said annoyedly, it's Green Snake, not Green So. This brat is really getting on my nerves. Duong Hai listed the losses. Now that the Red Religion gang has acquired the counter technique, the Green Snake gang has completely lost its strategic advantage. If you clash right now, the Green Snake gang will also suffer extremely heavy losses. He clasped his hands behind his back and wondered, do you really want to keep fighting? The guy froze and tried to argue. What would a brat like you know about anything? The Green Snake leader boasted loudly, my Green Snake gang would never back down like this. Duong Hai shut his eyes tight, folded his arms, and pondered. He snapped his eyes open, his gaze piercing as he pinned the man down. You really don't understand anything, do you? Duong Hai threatened coldly. The ones in danger aren't the Red Religion gang, it's you, the Green Snake gang. The techniques that counter your martial arts are currently being sold all over the market. Do you have any idea what that means? He slowly spat out every word in this Akan County. Duong Hai asked coldly, do you really think your only opponent is the Red Religion gang? The Green Snake leader replied in a panic, don't tell me, the Quchan Gong. He answered cheerfully. Bingo, Duong Hai said with a bright smile. If I were them, I'd wait for you two to hack each other to exhaustion. Then take the counter techniques, flatten the Green Snake gang's headquarters, and seize all your territory. He mocked, this is something even an 8-year-old child can see. Is it possible that the Quchan Gong's leader hasn't thought of it? The guy stammered suspiciously. This can't be. Is it true? A deep, warm voice echoed from the doorway. So how about we resolve this in a different way? The Green Snake leader jumped, and his eyes widened. He quickly turned his head toward the main entrance. The Green Snake leader gasped in shock. You are the one-armed sword, Bak Vo Luong. He asked in surprise, why are you here? Duong Hai rejoiced inwardly. Father, your timing is perfect. Vo Luong stood with his hands behind his back, calmly negotiating. Currently, both sides have obtained each other's counter techniques. A sudden conflict now will only lead to both sides being destroyed. So for my sake, can both sides please withdraw their forces? He affirmed gently, I will use the reputation of Bach Manor to guarantee the safety of both gangs. The Green Snake leader went silent and let out a sigh. Ninth Music frowned in confusion. Bach Manor is stepping in to mediate a conflict between underworld gangs. This means both the Green Snake and Red Religion gangs owe Bach Manor a huge favor. And don't even get me started on that brat. He turned his head and glanced down at him. Duong-hee winked playfully. Why are you looking? Haven't you ever seen someone scheme before? Ninth Music's face darkened as he cursed silently. What a cunning brat. From the very beginning, he intended to use his father as a shield. He scratched his head and replied, all right, the Red Religion gang accepts your mediation. Vo Luong praised happily, a very wise choice. He turned and asked, and what about the Green Snake gang? The guy bit his lip and hesitated. We will also pause. The Green Snake leader finally compromised and accepted Bach Manor's mediation. Vo Luong couldn't help but be pleased. To celebrate the cooperation between both sides, he flashed a bright smile and raised his hand. From now on, neither gang is allowed to cause any trouble near the White Barracks area, Vo Luong declared in a booming voice. And you must promise not to drag innocent civilians into your disputes, he added. The young man curled his lips in satisfaction. As expected, his father's mediation carried a different kind of awe-inspiring authority. It was truly effective. As the sun began to set, Duong-hai spoke respectfully. Father, please head back first. I still have some matters regarding Sister Lang that I need to discuss with Brother Nine. His father gave a gentle nod. Very well. Just don't be home too late. You smile brightly and wave goodbye to the Green Snake gang as they retreat. Now let me just clean up this mess, shall we? Suddenly Yang Hui is lifted high into the air looking completely bewildered. Breaking into a cold sweat, you offer a strained smile and meet Ju Yuk's gaze. Yang Hai hangs his head looking dejected. What? Is something wrong? The gang leader speaks in a stern, grumbling tone. Listen here, kid. Everything went exactly according to your little calculations, didn't it? What's your next move? You pretend not to understand. Huh. What are you talking about, sir? Ju Yuk sighs, annoyed and accusatory. Normally, I would have torn every single member of the Green Snake gang to shreds by now. But because of your bizarre little schemes, I've had to hold back. He picks up the book and exposes you. Besides, the counter techniques in the manual you gave me are the real deal, absolutely not some trashy forgery. I'm guessing that was part of your plan, too. Ju Yuk presses firmly, demanding answers. You're still wet behind the ears, so how could you possibly come up with something this profound on your own? Spit it out. Who's the one pulling the strings behind you? Yang Hai breaks into a cold sweat inwardly. Ju Yuk isn't completely dim-witted to have figured this much out. But you promise him with a serious look. I can't tell you that just yet. But it won't be long before I introduce you to them. Besides, that person and you share a very deep connection, Brother Ju. Yang Hai raises a finger, pleading, Hey, could you put me down now, please? As the evening sun begins to set, Ju Yuk holds a chair, his brow furrowing with suspicion. Someone with a deep connection to me, you say? He turns to ask, curious, don't tell me it's another one of my enemies. You reply cheerfully, I just want you and Miss Lan to live happily together in the future, that's all. Why would I ever want to hurt you? Yang Hai tilts his head with an innocent expression. Besides, have I ever done anything to harm you? Ju Yuk's face freezes for a few seconds, judging him. He's annoyed by how confident this little brat is, and even more annoyed that every single thing he says turns out to be right. Suddenly, he pauses and rubs his chin. Wait a minute. Have you been leading me around by the nose this whole time? Yang Hai jumps in surprise, stammering, What are you talking about? Yang Hai looks at the man lost in deep thought and turns to stone. You're only just realizing this now. What a total blockhead. Even so, he's still not quite getting it. No way. How could someone as great as me, Ju Yuk, fall into a trap? Who do you think I am? I'm not that easy to fool. And to be swindled by a little brat of all people. That's impossible. Just as he turns to look at Yang Hai, Ju Yuk flares up. What's with that look? You got a problem with me, you little brat? Yang Hai hurriedly waves his hands. No, not at all. How could I ever have a problem with the great Ju Yuk? Ju Yuk considers this for a moment. Fair enough. Suddenly you reach into your robe, hinting, Anyway, brother, didn't you just ask me what the next step was? The mention of the next step leaves Ju Yuk stunned. Take this and distribute it to the Hongjiao Gong, then tell them to train using these methods. You point at the book, pulling it out with a knowing look. You've realized what this is, haven't you? Then Yang Hai breaks into a triumphant smile because what lies before them is the countermeasure to the secret technique that suppresses the Hong Jiao Gong's stone hand style. The scene shifts back to a few nights ago on a wide rooftop where two small figures sit facing each other, a manual laid out between them as a snack. Yun-si confirms, skeptical, a countermeasure to the counter technique you say. I immediately understands. So this is your plan to incite the evil sects to slaughter each other as you mentioned, young master. Yang Hai confirms without hesitation. That's right. You cunningly map out each move. First, we leak the Hong Jiao Gang's secret counter technique to the Green Snake Gang. Since they've always had bad blood once they master the technique, they'll immediately launch an all-out assault. Everything from the moment the Green Snake Gang leader gets the manual to their arrogant attack plays out exactly as calculated. Of course, that's not the end. Now comes Yun-shi's part. Just as the situation becomes critical and disadvantageous for the Hong Jiao Gong, will leak the counter method to the Green Snake's martial arts all over the streets. At that point, the Green Snake Gang will pay a heavy price for their arrogance because all the other evil factions that want them dead will swarm them at once. Yun-shi imagines the scene. He frowns slightly and gulps. Yang Hai asks excitedly, "What do you think, sir?" Yun-shi, now serious, considers it. It sounds very feasible. He stops for a few seconds. But for the plan to succeed, those manuals must be authentic, right? Yang Hai laughs, affirming firmly, "Of course they're real. Even if these evil sects are just low-level thugs, they're still martial artists. Fakes won't get past them." Yun-shi flips through the pages, stunned. Are they really authentic? If so, may I ask, young master, where on earth did you get these? Yang Hai keeps a straight face, but his mind is racing. Then he smiles slightly, and Yang Hai frankly blurts out, "I made them myself." This really shocked Van Tik. "What exactly are you doing, young master?" He still couldn't believe it, raising his voice. "Young master, you shouldn't tease an old man like this. This isn't some trashy martial arts novel you find everywhere." Duong Hui hunched over, yet answered firmly, "I'm telling you the truth, I really am." He had already thought it through. "Mr. Van Tik, you are the key player in my plan. Using half-truths to deceive you would only backfire and create more trouble. Better to lay my cards on the table and win your trust. Of course, if I said I was a reincarnated soul, he'd never believe me." So Duong Hui stammered, opening his mouth to speak. Even though he was blushing with embarrassment, he had to blow it up. Big. "I am a martial arts genius, reincarnated into my second life." A crow flies by, leaving 3 dots of silence behind. In Van Tik's mind, he was speechless, staring at the person before him, even more confused by the second. But finally, Van Tik burst into loud laughter. "A genius reincarnated into a second life, you say?" "That's right, a genius reborn into a second life." Duong Hai stood his ground, silently cheering himself on. "Come on, me. It's just a kid acted out until the end, otherwise I'll die of shame." Van Tik reached out and slammed his book shut, his whole demeanor turning contemplative. He stopped questioning further and turned to leave. "Young master, that joke went a bit too far. Just pretend I didn't hear anything." Duong Hai seized the moment to offer a deal. "Once everything is settled, Bok Tri will welcome you and Lady Lang as our honored guests." This successfully caught Van Tik's attention. Seeing this reaction, Duong Hai pressed his advantage. "Of course, in public you two would need to use fake identities, but once Bok Tri vouches for you, no one in the martial arts world will hunt you two down anymore." He promised firmly, "You won't have to live a life on the run anymore, and you can openly stay by your daughter's side." Van Tik's aged face trembled slightly. Memories of a warm family life returned with new hope. "To be by my daughter's side amidst the clear sky and cool breeze." Van Tik broke down his defenses and spoke his heart. "Years ago, I was backed into a corner and became an enemy of the entire martial arts world. I lost my wife and had to abandon my only daughter. 25 years have passed in a flash, but if in these final years of my life, I could hear Long Long call me father, just once I would willingly do anything." Van Tik's eyes were filled with sadness, but he had decided to compromise just like before. The terms the young master offered are truly impossible to refuse. Duong Hai seemed to have achieved his goal. Van Tik asked seriously and directly, "So, young master, what do you want me to do? I don't think you merely want me to forge some ancient books." Duong Hai laughed, showing his appreciation. "I like that quick wit of yours, sir." He didn't hide his request, asking directly, "I want you to cripple the leader of the Hong Giao sect." However, Duong Hai emphasized, "As long as you don't take his life, it's fine. Breaking his dantian will be enough." This request took Van Tik by surprise. He sullenly pulled his hat lower as if wanting to retreat. "Young master, I'm just an old man. I only know a bit of the craft of restoring ancient books. How could I possibly defeat the leader of a major evil sect like the Hongjiao sect?" Duonghai gently countered with a question. "How does an ordinary old man survive for 25 years while being hunted by the entire martial arts world?" Duonghai raised his hands. He happily entrusted the task. "I am counting on you, sir." Vantich didn't answer. He only sighed helplessly. "You really know how to make things difficult for this old man, young master." Under the moonlit sky that night, Vantich agreed. "Please tell me the details of the plan." A few days later in the present, the Thansha sect sent a gift to Bok Tri for acting as a mediator, the amount reaching 10,000 taels of silver. Vo Luong and Steward Han looked on mouths agape. Vo Luong turned to ask Duonghai, stunned, "Hai-son, what do you think we should do with this much money?" He grabbed the chest lid with determination. "I think we should buy an inn and turn it into a business for Bok Tri. As for which inn to choose, it had already been planned by Duong Hui. I think the Hao An Lao in a Can district is the most suitable." Thousands of taels of silver shining brightly made gasps of amazement ring out. Steward Han's eyes twinkled with excitement bubbling over. "It's been so long since I've seen this much silver." He rambled on to himself, making Vo Luong and Duong Hai smile awkwardly. "Now we can finally pay everyone's wages, pay off all the debts at the shops, and then fix the leaking roof too. We can even repaint the rafters." Steward Han turned around and affectionately called out the young master's name. Sensing his attitude, the boy jumped in alarm, worrying, "Oh boy, what now?" The next second, a flood of his deep affection and trust was poured out. "You truly are a bodhisattva reborn, young master. A living bodhisattva. The head of the house only gives things away for some vague sense of righteousness. Unlike you who actually brings money back to this estate." It reached the point where Duong Hui had to frown and show his annoyance. "Aya, stay a little further away from me." Suddenly Vo Luong spoke up with a cough, looking stiff as he took all the responsibility upon himself. "Steward Han, you have suffered many hardships because of my incompetence." The chief steward immediately tried to smooth things over, not wanting his master to blame himself. "Please, master, don't say that. That's not the case at all. Walking the path of justice is only natural, but we do still have to think about the treasury, don't we? Isn't that right?" Those final words finally convinced Vo Luong. "That's right," he said, posing a question that made Duong Hai snap to full attention. "By the way, Hui, you mentioned earlier that you wanted to buy a trading shop, didn't you?" The young man quickly regained his composure. "Yes, Hao Ang Lao, sir. That place is famous for its booming business," General Manager Han added, supporting Duong Hui's choice. "The head chef there is top tier, so they have a huge crowd of regulars. You've got a sharp eye for business." Despite his father's concern, Duong Hui smirked confidently. "But I'm just not sure if the manager would be willing to sell it," he declared with such conviction that the two older men were stunned. "Leave that to me," Duong Hui said, giving a thumbs up with a suave, overflowing air of confidence. "I'm actually quite close with the manager there, in the city square." The sound of a clear, youthful voice echoed. "Brother Nine," he called out, greeting him joyfully before getting straight to the point. "Would you be willing to sell Hao An Lao for the price of 10,000 taels of silver?" he continued. Brother Nine didn't react at all, as if he couldn't believe his own ears. He hesitated a bit, wanting to confirm what exactly he was selling, but Duong Hui replied cheerfully and bluntly, "Hao An Lao, it's been a long time. Hand it over." In a split second, Nine Music's massive hand gripped his head, growling with murderous intent at the demand. "Do you think Hao An Lao is some cheap toy? You're feeling energetic today, aren't you? That's the prime real estate of the entire Akan district. Do you really think I'd just hand over a gold mine that lets me sit back and rake in the profits that easily?" Duong Hai calmly continued, making Nine Music freeze. "That is exactly why I want to put Lady Lang in charge of it." And just like that, he let go easily, handing over all his assets. "I give it all to you, the entire building, including the manager and the staff." His subordinates behind him jumped up and shouted, "Wait! What did you say, Lord Nine Music?" He smiled brightly, though he was still skeptical deep down. Suddenly, Duong Hui's attitude shifted, becoming much more serious. "There is one more thing, Brother Nine." Time passed quickly. In a majestic ancient palace inside a certain room, everything was shaking unnervingly. Nine Thiet Hao roared in a fit of rage, pointing a finger directly at him to interrogate him. "Did you sell Hao Anch Lao just for that measly 10,000 taels of silver?" Nine Thiet Hao, the leader of the Hongjiao sect, barked continuously, cursing at him. "You stupid fool! Do you even know how much money that place rakes in every single year? Faced with the scolding, he remained silent. Then Nine Music respectfully spoke up, Thiet Hao, father, and he pulled out an item offering it to his father. Please take a look at this. Instantly, the look on his face shifted to pure astonishment. Wait, this is... Thiet Hao couldn't control his voice as he praised the treasure. This is the secret manual to break the spell-restricting formation of our Hongjiao sect. He was stunned, clutching the manual as he probed Nine Music. How did you get your hands on this? I didn't hide it, and revealed the truth. I used the 10,000 taels of silver from Hao An Lao to buy this secret manual back. Thiet Hao laughed, extremely satisfied, and praised him. Well done, my son. Hearing every word, Nine Music flinched slightly. I knew you wouldn't get tangled up with that woman forever. That prostitute, he added cruelly. He had to grit his teeth and endure it while Thiet Hao continued. I even heard that lately. You've been hanging around and getting close to Bok Vo Luong again. See, prostitutes have no loyalty. Nine Music clenched his fist, quietly defending her. Lang Long is not like that. His father didn't hear him clearly and looked up at his son. Thiet Hao asked back, even though his face looked quite twisted. What did you just say? Nine Music went silent for a moment and swallowed his words. It's nothing, sir. Seeing this, he laughed, calculating future plans. With this counter-manual, the Hongjiao sect will have no more weaknesses. Thiet Hao's face couldn't hide his arrogance as he declared, Now we will crush the Than Sha sect. Nine Music kept a calm expression, letting him ramble on as they officially became the #1 evil sect in Akan district. Thiet Hao's triumphant laughter echoed through the space. Meanwhile, under a clear blue sky in the peaceful atmosphere of a proper and tidy estate. At the Bok family estate, a cool breeze blew. Ever since the Bok family stepped in to reconcile the feud between the Than Sha and Hongjiao sects, their reputation had soared. Everyone in town was finally at ease, laughing and living in peace. The evil sects no longer dared to cause trouble near the estate. Genuine joy had returned to everyone's faces. Street vendors had reopened their stalls, breathing new life into the area. Head steward Han was sweating profusely, feeling incredibly awkward. Oh, please, I told you already. You don't need to bring these things here. But the old farmer still insisted on gifting his harvest. Please, sir, accept it. This is just a small token of my heart. He smiled kindly, mentioning the connection between the two. Just recently, my son had a run-in with some thugs from an evil sect. He only survived because he ran straight toward the Bok estate. Honestly, compared to the life saved by the one-armed sword for my son, this is nothing. The old farmer didn't hesitate to use pressure. If you don't accept it, I'll tell everyone that the Bok family is heartless and ungrateful. Head steward Han was cornered and protested helplessly. You can't force people like that. Out of options, he had to call for backup. The master, the father-son duo of Vo Luong and Duong He approached with curiosity. Are there more gifts today? Seeing them arrive, Head steward Han reported, Master, young master. He gestured to the basket of produce in his hand. Even though everyone's lives are still difficult, they keep bringing gifts to offer us. Vo Luong understood the sentiment and accepted it. They just want to express their gratitude. Steward, just go ahead and accept it. Then he proposed a plan while leaning toward Duong Hui. We can always redistribute it to the people later. Vo Luong leaned gently toward his son and asked, You'll help me with that, won't you? Hui Duonghai smiled back at him. Of course, father. However, elsewhere the fires were still burning, while the wealth and reputation of the Bok estate were flourishing in the territory of the evil sects in Akan district. Wounded subordinates were screaming in pain as opposing factions grew even more ferocious. Kill them all for me. The remaining group didn't give up, roaring in response. For the sect Akan district belongs to us. More and more people lost their lives in the fighting. The chaos between the major evil sects in Akan district was reaching its peak around the Than Sha sect. The Thang Che sect fought desperately against countless enemies, and finally, the losing side was tied up dirty and defeated. But because too many forces had obtained the secret manual that countered their martial arts, they were forced to surrender, without the ability to resist. Gradually, the stories about them were burned away. Than Sha, one of the three most powerful evil sects in Akan County, has officially vanished from history, and now Thiet Hao is fuming after receiving a challenge letter. That sect leader Qiu Chanbang actually dares to challenge me to a death match. He must have truly lost his mind. Those little rats used to grovel at our feet. Now that the Green Snake sect has collapsed, they probably think they're the masters of this place. His severely injured subordinates cautioned him, "Sect leader, we should be careful. Someone is leaking the secret manuals that counter each sect's martial arts to stir up conflict, causing us to slaughter each other." But Thiet Hao arrogantly dismissed it, claiming he wasn't unfamiliar with such tactics, boldly declaring he would drag out the fight and had nothing to fear. "We just need to crush that rotten scheme and be done with it. Once we are the only power left in this Akan County, no one will be able to play any more tricks." Thiet Hao's hand clenched tightly, his face full of resolve as he declared, "From today on, the three great evil sects of Akan County will exist no more." His eyes glinted with a fanatical desire for total dominion. "Only we, the Hongyao sect, will be the sole evil sect to rule this place." The sound of galloping horses grew increasingly rapid. Thiet Hao and a few trusted aides were riding together while from afar, a mysterious person had been tracking his every move. The figure quietly offered a greeting to Thiet Hao. The oblivious man finally met his match. Van Tik exuded an aura of profound gloom and danger, locking onto Thiet Hao, the leader of the Hongyao sect, in an instant. Van Tik suddenly dashed from his initial spot, appearing before Thiet Hao's group in the blink of an eye. Thiet Hao was deeply suspicious and demanded to know the identity of the intruder. "Who are you?" One of Thiet Hao's men pointed at him, trying to intimidate him. "Do you know who this is, you dare to block our path?" But suddenly he jumped back, sensing something strange. The murderous aura radiating from Van Tik terrified Thiet Hao. What is this? What is this terrifying pressure? When he opened his eyes, the oppression became even more apparent in the space around them. Thiet Hao broke out in a cold sweat, trembling as he realized the true strength of Van Tik. This old man, he's a supreme master. Thiet Hao immediately ordered his men to attack. "Quick, kill that old man for me." His group drew their weapons on command. "Yes, sir." All three lunged into the air toward him. Van Tik just stood still, channeling his inner strength into his hands. Without a moment's hesitation, he thrust his sharp fingers forward. In the blink of an eye, Van Tik had countered all three. They fell to the ground one by one, begging the master for mercy. Thiet Hao stared at the bodies of his subordinates in shock. The rising talents of the Hongyao sect had been taken down in a heartbeat. Before he could think any further, a wave of pressure washed over him. Van Tik had successfully closed in on Thiet Hao. Luckily, he managed to narrowly escape when Van Tik struck. He leaped into the air, cursing, "Damn it!" Even though Thiet Hao kept questioning him, Van Tik remained silent. "Who sent you, Q Chanbang?" The name kept ringing out while Van Tik watched with cold eyes. "Or was it the Green Snake sect?" After that, he landed a heavy strike on Thiet Hao and replied, "You don't need to know." The blow caused his face to contort, and his heart and mind were in turmoil. My Dantian." Thick clouds of dust kicked up from the violent impact, and the ground beneath them shattered completely. Thiet Hao lay trembling on the ground, looking absolutely pathetic. He opened his eyes wide in shock as his body went rigid. He couldn't move anymore. Standing nearby, Van Tik spoke up to explain. "I won't take your life." He had chosen a very cruel way to take revenge. Thinking of the evil things you've done, even hacking you to pieces wouldn't be enough to atone for your crimes. But I made a promise beforehand, so I am specifically destroying your Dantian to put an end to this. Having said that, Van Tik coldly turned and walked away. So live the rest of your life in regret. Hearing everything. Thiet Hao gritted his teeth in agony. "You bastard!" he screamed into the quiet space in helplessness. "Damn you!" Now Van Tik's eyes were filled with deep contemplation. The image of his wife and child appeared in Van Tik's mind. "So long, I can finally give you a happier life. My lady," his back looked somewhat lonely, yet filled with determination, "our daughter." A few days after the clash between Du Van Tish and the leader of the Hongyao sect at a small eatery, Duong Hui was excitedly resting his face on his hands at the table. Chinyak witnessed the scene, feeling nothing but suspicious. Being very vigilant, he asked a probing question with a smirk that killed the mood. "What's wrong with you, huh? Is there something that makes you this happy?" Continuing with a friendly attitude, he replied, "It's just because I got to see you again, Brother Chin, that's why I'm so happy." A giggle echoed in his mind as Duong Hai thought, happy indeed. Good news. Of course there is. The plan had been a complete success, all thanks to Du Van Tich's actions. Because his Dantian was destroyed, Thiet Hao could only lie in one spot. After the leader of the Hongyao sect was crippled by Lu Van Tich, the Hongyao sect immediately descended into infighting to compete for the position of sect leader. Everything that followed happened more easily. Thus, the Hongyao sect naturally had to withdraw from Can. The fates of decline appeared one by one, similar to the Green Snake sect, which had been wiped out earlier. The people of those sects no longer rampaged, and Qiu Bang suffered heavy losses in manpower and had to go into hiding. Finally, a peaceful life had become reality. The three great evil sects collapsed and weakened simultaneously. Akan County had finally welcomed true peace. This brought about positive changes that made him very elated, and the reputation of Bak Gia Trang, who had devoted themselves to this peace, spread even further. Everyone will respect our Bak Gia Trang even more. Duong Hui's gaze suddenly became serious as he looked at the person in front of him, and most importantly, he had long set his sights on Chinyak. Now we can completely pull Chinyak onto our side. And so Duong Hai seized the opportunity and immediately made his request, Brother Chin, by the way, how about joining the Bak Gia Manor? Chinyak couldn't believe his ears and asked, What? Cold sweat poured down his face at the sudden proposition. Why are you suddenly spouting such nonsense? Putting his hands up in an innocent gesture, Duong Huai continued, and his words left Chinyak frozen. Otherwise, you could just kill those brothers of yours and take over as the gang leader. Just take over already. Chinyak lowered his eyes, not saying a word. The boy beside him kept his gaze fixed on him. Just as he was listening to Chinyak, Duong Hui suddenly sensed something unusual. I have no interest. The boy quickly picked up his chopsticks. So you're just going to sit there obediently and wait to be killed. Then Duong Hai flicked his chopsticks toward the suspicious direction. The mysterious person tracking them was exposed by this sudden move. That guy dodged the weapon quickly and ran off. Brushing off his small hands, the boy complained incessantly. See that, Chinyak? They've even tracked us this far. This place doesn't seem safe anymore. Even if you don't want to, your brothers clearly don't think the same. I don't even know how many squads of assassins that makes. As the boy spoke, Chinyak's face darkened even more. Damn it, why is everyone so extreme? I already said I have no interest in that leader's chair. You're already the head of the Honggaogang. Duong Hai continued his persuasion tactics. If a pig's eyes are all you have, you'll only see pigs everywhere. Even if you say you aren't ambitious, they won't believe you. Besides, even if you become the leader, the Honggaogang is just a gnawed-on bone by now. You'd never be able to hold your head up high in AK District. Listen. The boy finally laid out two options for Chinyak. Choose between being betrayed by your brothers or becoming the legitimate husband of Sister NG at Bak Gia Manor. Which one do you choose? Choosing the latter was obvious, yet he was still quite worried about the invitation. But you little brat, me joining Bak Gia Manor, does that even sound right? Chinyak slumped down near Duong Huai, expressing his worry. In this entire AK district, who doesn't know I'm part of the evil faction? However, the boy didn't seem to care about that at all. The evil factions in this AK district have basically been wiped out anyway. Duong Hui smiled to reassure him. So even if you join Bak Gia Manor, no one is going to whisper behind your back, besides my father. Just as expected. Vo Luong welcomed him warmly and enthusiastically. He grabbed Chinyak's hand and chatted familiarly. If a man wants to wash his hands of the past and turn over a new leaf, how could I refuse? Chinyak shook his hand back with a dazed expression. Oh, really? Chinyak couldn't have anticipated this, so he was a bit suspicious. Deep down, is it really that easy? Duong Hai poked him on the side, teasing, I told you he would welcome you. He spread his arms, explaining the family's way of life. The core principle of our Bak Gia Manor is chivalry and honor. Blood axe, Chinyak, you must wash away that infamous title. Vo Lung was very kind-hearted and easily accepted Chinyak's past and reputation. Every day perform one good deed. Every day perform one chivalrous act. Only then will I recognize you as a member of Bak Gia Manor. That sincerity touched his heart. The next second, Chinyak frowned, his eyes filled with determination. He quickly clasped his hands together in a respectful gesture, knelt down forcefully, and vowed loudly to obey. Understood, this humble one, the former blood axe Chinyak, hereby discards my old title. Filled with passion and a desire to change his life, he swore to follow the master's orders and earn the title of Supreme Chivalry. On a sunny morning, Chinyak officially became a member of Bak Gia Manor. A little girl walked slowly on the ground. It was Ngien excitedly pulling Hiento along. We're running out to the market. We finally get to go out and play. Everything in her eyes was fascinating. Look at that puppet show too. Look at this. Look at those candied hawthorns too. Buy this for me. This hair ribbon is so pretty, I want it. And this too. Lang Long's voice rang out from behind her. Wait a minute, Ngin Ngin. She wasn't happy that Ngin Ngin was only focused on playing. You promised to go for a walk with me today, remember? If you keep running around by yourself like that, I'll be sad. She noticed the sadness in Lang Long's eyes. Lang Long, sister. That was when Ngin Ngin finally remembered. That's right, today is the day Lang Long recovered, so we were supposed to take a walk together. Hienta was very annoyed, but couldn't do anything about it. Hey, Bok Ngin Ngin. I was also overly worried about her safety. There are so many people here, why are you running around by yourself? Besides, do you even have any money? Lang Long indulged her every wish. Ngin Ngin, which one do you like? Ngin Ngin chatted happily with her. Standing from afar, Chinyak and Duong Hui smiled softly. The boy was happy for Lang Long. It's so good that Sister Lang has recovered this much. Chinyak completely agreed with his point of view, that's right. He could finally breathe a sigh of relief when he found out Lang Long had been poisoned. He had been at a complete loss on what to do. Everything went black for a moment. Chuyuk had a clear objective assessment of Lang Long life at Bai Family Manor was much more comfortable than at the pleasure house. Someone called out, Chuyuk brother Ju. Lang Long ran over and acted spoiled. Buy this for us. She and Yan Yan said in unison, Hurry, hurry. Chuyuk couldn't help but sigh at how childish they were. Looks like you've recovered really well. Shentu looked forward to being treated by him. Brother, can I have another candied fruit? Chuyuk wondered why Yang Hai kept looking back. He seemed to be waiting for someone to show up. Why is the most important person nowhere to be seen? A figure was hiding behind a wall, silently watching Lang Long. Yunji was worried, so he came to check things out. Yang Hai had specifically reminded him yesterday. Tomorrow everyone is going for a walk. You absolutely must come. Hai didn't dare show himself in front of Lang Long. Yunji praised her beauty. Ah Lang, you've grown up to be so beautiful. However, he didn't show any emotion on his face. Yang Hai caught sight of Yunji hurriedly leaving, just as I thought. As expected, nothing escapes your notice. You've come all this way, senior. Are you just going to leave like that? He still intended to pretend he didn't know the young master. Yang Hai promised to help him fulfill his wish. He had arrived right on time. Where else do you plan on going? You have to see your daughter. Yunji didn't know how to answer that. It was a complicated matter. His brow furrowed in hesitation. Yunji regretted not fulfilling his duties. When she was little, I only made her suffer. A father like me isn't worthy. How can I have the face to show myself to her now? He had nothing left to regret. Just seeing her face from afar was enough. Of course, Yang Hai saw through Yunji's heart. He did his best to convince him to go see Lang Long. That is all the more reason you must stay to make up for all those lost years. Do you intend to let Big Sister Lang get married without her father by her side? He remained hesitant about that. Yang Hai scolded him loudly. Do you have any idea how a bride feels without her own family there to support her? You really are a deep thinker. If Brother Ju makes Big Sister Lang sad, Senior needs to be there to teach him a lesson. Juyuk's voice shot up. Who is making who sad? Everyone was dumbfounded except for him. Juyuk shot daggers at Yang Hai. I will cherish Lang Long for the rest of my life. Where did this arrogant talk come from? I hurriedly stepped in to explain, Brother Ju, really. Yang Hai, of course, didn't dare offend him. I was just saying. Lang Long intervened to keep things from getting out of hand. Brother Ju, don't tease the young master anymore. But he didn't see it that way. Teasing, I just think the young brother is cute, that's all. Tears welled up in Yunji's eyes. His gaze was filled only with his daughter. She froze on the spot when she met Yunji. The father and daughter looked at each other, unable to speak. His face went pale in an instant. Damn it, what have I done? Before causing more misunderstandings, he had to leave quickly. Lang Long couldn't hide her emotions and threw herself into Yunji's arms. Father! I was absolutely bewildered while Lang Long sobbed uncontrollably. Yunji didn't understand what was happening. Ah Lang, you recognize me? She could never forget. The person who gave me this jade pendant when I was little was you, right? Lang Long finally revealed the whole truth, and the one who gave her the jade was her father. Actually, I've known for a long time. She understood better than anyone. Even if she hadn't recognized him at first, she remembered how her father had looked at her when she was little. That gaze, the one she had longed for her whole life. Yunji could only call out his daughter's name, Ah Lang, Ah Long. She still had the token from her childhood, the jade pendant father gave me just as you told me. I have never left it for a single step. She frankly expressed her feelings. Actually, I haven't suffered much. Many people have helped me over the years. Even so, if there was any hardship, it was only because I missed father so much. Long Long grabbed his hand and pleaded, "Now that we've finally reunited, please, father, don't talk about leaving again." Perhaps she only hoped to live by Yunji's side. "My filial duties haven't been fulfilled. Please let me serve you." He was moved to the point of choking up Along, my child. Yunji agreed to stay by Long Long's side. "I know, Along. I won't leave again." Only then did he calm down. Never again. Yang Hui stood to the side watching the father and daughter embrace. I had nothing left to worry about, it was so good. Yang Hai was secretly happy in his heart. Thanks to this big sister Lang and senior Yunji avoided a tragic fate and could start a new life. He had done a good deed. And thanks to that, Ju-yak was also at ease. Ju-yak suddenly shouted loudly in the middle of the street, "Lang Long reunited with her biological father. It's great. It's so great. It's just great." He wailed with excitement. "Father-in-law, I promise to devote my life to bringing happiness to Long Long." Yunji felt somewhat more reassured. "I entrust my daughter to you." Long Long couldn't handle this situation, brother Ju, really. Yang Hai kept his thoughts to himself. Ju-yak the Peerless One is just a future son-in-law in front of his father-in-law, huh? He drew his own philosophical conclusion. So this is the power of love. Either way, it's truly wonderful. The air at the Bach family estate feels even sweeter. The old man can't stop grinning from ear to ear hearing that the Bach family is holding a wedding today. The shopkeeper is completely clueless, asking, "A wedding? Whose aren't those kids still just wet behind the ears?" The old man thought everyone knew by now. "You haven't heard." He explains he's talking about the wedding of Ju-yuk and Long Long, apparently arranged by the master of the house. Long Long smiles and bows her head slightly. Ju-yuk sees this and turns bright red, his expression a mix of joy and nervousness. Yang Hai, seeing Ju-yuk grinning, teases him. "Brother, close your mouth a little. Is getting a wife really that exciting? You're going to split your face open." Yuntai, seeing Ju-yuk cursing the boy out of embarrassment, smiles and says, "Hey, you brat, how dare you mock your elders?" His face is full of contentment. Yuntai speaks to himself, unable to believe he lived to see Ah Lang get married. He nods in satisfaction, feeling he could close his eyes and die peacefully now. Wu Liang sits nearby and looks over, saying, "Old Master Du, why would you say something like that? When Lang Long has children later, she'll still need the old master to help take care of them. And you'll need to keep an eye on that troublemaker Ju-yuk, so why would you want to leave so soon?" Yuntai hears this and replies, "That's true." He falls silent, continuing to watch his daughter while Wu Liang listens quietly as Yuntai speaks of how far he's come. "I never imagined I would be blessed with this kind of happiness." Hearing that, he continues, "There will be even more good things to come." Nian Nian excitedly presses her hands to her cheeks, looking at Ju-yuk and Long Long, exclaiming, "So beautiful!" Yang Hai, sitting beside her, reminds her, "Nian Nian, don't lean like that, sit up straight." She turns to look at him. "Brother, big sister Lang is so beautiful, isn't she?" She suddenly asks, Yang Hai leaving him stunned. "When Nian Nian grows up, will I be able to wear a beautiful wedding dress like that to get married to?" Scenes from the past flash through his mind. Yang Hai remembers the times Nian Nian had to sit and mend clothes. In their previous life, she never even wore a single decent outfit. She only knew hardship and caring for their sick parents. He stands up to pull the chair out for her, then places a hand on her shoulder. "Of course you will." He smiles and gently strokes her hair. "Our Nian Nian will be taken care of by this brother of yours. I will definitely see you married off in grandeur and beauty." Nian Nian is overjoyed hearing this, really. "It's a promise then." She excitedly raises her hands high. "I'm so happy." Yang Hai looks at Nian Nian's joy and makes a silent vow, his gaze sharpening. "I will definitely change the tragic fate of our past life and help the entire Bach family find happiness." The sky is clear. The white clouds drift gently, and the space becomes quiet a few days after the wedding of Ju-yu and Long Long. As it ends, Wu Liang asks, in a slight daze, "Old Master Du." He looks at the items on the table and asks, "What on earth is all of this?" Yuntai closes his eyes and says softly, "Please accept this, Master Bach." He pushes the items forward. Wu Liang hurriedly stops him. "Wait a moment." He glances at the two titles and looks confused. The Heavenly Sword and the 6 Harmonies of 1,000-Mile Internal Energy. Aren't these the secret martial arts manuals of our Bach family? Wu Liang puts his hands on the table and stands up. Originally, these 2 martial arts were the authentic heritage of the Bach family. He begins to explain, but they have been scattered for a long time. So the original versions no longer exist, which is why the descendants of the Bach family have always considered restoring these arts to be their lifelong mission. Wu Liang finishes and looks up at Yuntai. Old master, he asks seriously, how on earth did you get these? Yuntai's gaze lowers slightly. It's a story from when I was young. He begins to recall the past. Yuntai recounts his own story as a young man, how someone suddenly approached where he was sitting. Yuntai looks up at him. He continues, I was fortunate enough to be initiated into the Shadow Ghost sect. Yuntai adds details about his experiences. The sect leader at that time was collecting ancient martial arts, including the martial arts of the Bach family, which I heard were obtained from a branch of the Bach lineage. He says in a nostalgic tone, time passed and the sect leader passed away. I just sort of forgot about it. I never thought I would have such a connection to the Bach family. Yuntai folds his arms and looks up. And I am old now, just like my master was back then, so I want to return these two martial arts to the Bach family as repayment for saving my daughter. Wu Liang is a bit flustered upon hearing this. Old master, what are you talking about? What debt of gratitude? We only did what we were supposed to do. Helping those in need is the basic code of the martial arts world. Yuntai immediately retorts, but actually doing what's right is not easy at all. In this world, there are more people who kick others while they are down than there are helpers. He is still a bit hesitant to accept, but how could we dare to accept such treasures? This gift is far beyond what we deserve. Von Titch smiled and reassured him, my dear Lang Long is more precious than anything else in this world. So don't worry about it, Von Titch said, reasoning with him. Besides, at the end of the day, this is the Bach family's martial arts. It's only natural for it to return to where it belongs. Vo Luong felt conflicted and didn't know what to say. Standing nearby, old man Duong Hui listened and wondered to himself, so Du Van Titch joined the Shadow Ghost sect. He recalled things from the past. No wonder he managed to escape pursuit and survive. That assassination-focused martial art is indeed a technique of the Shadow Ghost sect. Duong Hui smiled and said, Father, you should just accept it. Upon hearing this, Vo Luong looked down at the item. Duong Hai quickly said to him, if you keep refusing, it will only make Old Man Du and Miss Lang more uncomfortable. Vo Luong heard this and found it credible. Is that so? He quickly nodded at him. That's right. Vo Luong held the object in his hand and looked over at Van Titch. The old man lowered his head, looked at it, and gave a wry smile. Then I will shamelessly accept it. Vo Luong reached out and gently touched it. With this, I no longer have to feel ashamed before my ancestors for carrying the burden of the family. He said it with a smile, deep down knowing the Bach family's martial arts would certainly take a step forward. Seeing his father happy, Duong Hui also smiled. Moments later, the sky gradually turned the blue of nightfall. His voice echoed in the night. Thank you for your cooperation, old man, Duong Hui said brightly, adding, you made it look so real. Van Titch snorted coldly and lifted his teacup. Of course. That was a masterpiece, the best I could do with all my skills. Then he quickly added, but this is the last time. From now on, I won't use this forging skill ever again. Hearing this, he agreed, that's how it should be. From now on, you just need to enjoy your retirement and have fun with your granddaughter. Von Titch glanced at Duong Hui and pondered. He spoke up and asked him, from the very beginning when you sought me out to play this role, you were planning to hand over this secret manual, right? Duong Hai smiled and replied, Von Titch, please don't misunderstand. Old man, initially my plan was something else. He explained to him, the events this time happened because you appeared. That's why I had to improvise and come up with a brilliant plan. Thanks to that, we achieved a result where one arrow hit two targets. It's truly perfect. After hearing this, Von Titch praised him. What an interesting young man. You pacified the underworld here. You took in the 9 Music City people into Bach Family Manor and then legitimately handed over the martial arts manual. All of these things, you're saying it was an improvised plan. Duong Hai stood up abruptly and said loudly, that's right. He looked up at the sky. Everything was simply part of my plan. Von Titch curiously asked more, but I have a question. Why didn't you just pass on the martial arts directly? Duong Hai put his hands on his hips and laughed. Old man, really? How could an 8-year-old child possibly get his hands on that kind of thing? Even if I brought it out, would people have believed it? The old man pondered and then spoke. I think if it were your father, he would have believed it. An image of Vo Luong praising him appeared. Duong Hai, my son, whatever you say is true. That's right, that's certainly how it is. Duong Hai fell silent and turned his face away. He looked at the rustling bamboo grove. "But old man, were you not suspicious at all?" Duonghai was slightly puzzled and tilted his head to look at Van Tik. "About the fact that I was the one who created that martial art." He heard this and just drank his wine in silence. Van Tik took a sip and replied, "I have wandered the martial world and experienced enough strange and bizarre things in this life." He quickly hit the nail on the head. "Young master, you may have the body of an 8-year-old now, but what if inside you are actually a 100-year-old monster?" Duonghai pretended to laugh when he heard that. "Why would you say such a thing?" Van Tik immediately added, "I'm just joking." He crossed his arms and looked at him, thinking to himself, what a wily old fox. Why pretend to be naive? Duonghai looked into the distance and sighed. A moment later, he spoke up. "It's not like everyone is as understanding and insightful as you, old man. A person who looks like a hidden master like you standing up to hand over the manual is the only way to be convincing." Van Tik only replied with a short sentence, "I see." He set his teacup down and looked at him. "You didn't want to reveal more of your capabilities than necessary, right? I understand. I won't breathe a word of this to anyone. You are the benefactor of my daughter and me. I would never return kindness with enmity." Duonghui heard this and was a bit surprised. He said with a firm tone, "I trust you, old man." Van Tik suddenly blurted out a sentence. "You are truly the greatest stroke of luck that Bok family manor has ever had." Duonghui rolled his eyes and thought for a long time. He softly replied to him, "That's not true. Meeting my father is the greatest luck of my life." Duonghui couldn't help but reflect on his past life. At that time, if I hadn't met my father, I probably would have died in some corner of the road. Or if I hadn't carried hatred in my heart, I would have become a villain. At that moment, someone approached him while he was still huddled in a corner. With a degenerate beggar like me, Volung had walked over to Duonghui. To this day, he still clearly remembers that day. My father brought the light. He smiled and opened his arms to welcome him. He taught me how beautiful this life can be. Duonghui hurriedly grasped that light as if afraid it would vanish. He taught me what it means to be benevolent and righteous. He stood straight and proudly recounted everything. Because of that, I could continue to live as I do today. Van Tik listened silently and seriously. So that's how it is. He added, "The heavens always shine upon the righteous." Duonghui replied cheerfully, "Yes, exactly." And Van Tik laughed, "That's for sure." The sun rose its rays shining down on every rooftop. A loud shout suddenly rang out. "What?" Ninth, Jack gasped. "You're taking in the Black Path gang members as house servants." He shouted in disbelief, "Are you talking crazy? Do you even know how many of those degenerates are rotten to the core? Do you think there are many exceptions like me in this world?" As Duonghui practiced his swordplay, he replied, "That's only because Lang Tai turned you into a decent human being, Ninth brother." Ninth Jack was so embarrassed he got angry. "What a human being, are you saying I wasn't human before?" The boy smiled teasingly. "Not at all, I just meant." Duonghui's strike was aimed straight at him. Pointing his sword at Ninth Jack, he continued, "It's not every day someone gets lucky like that." Duonghai gave him a bright smile. "That's exactly what I meant." Ninth Jack froze for 2 seconds, then lunged forward, pinching the boy's cheek and shouting, "You little brat, you're getting more disrespectful by the day." "Oh my." Suddenly someone approached and called out to him, "Oh, Jacka, Jacka." Lang Lang walked over, smiling as she carried some items. "Are you two arguing again? You two are truly close, aren't you?" Duonghai tilted his head and called out to her, "Lang Tai." Ninth Jack also stiffened and turned to look at the master of the house, quickly letting go of his hands. "Two, why are you both here?" Vyong stepped up to Ninth Jack. "I was just out for a stroll and ran into Miss Lang." He gently called out to the boy, "Hey Hui, about recruiting the Black Path gang as servants." Vuong looked at Duonghui with a smile. "I want to hear you explain it more clearly." They quickly headed inside the room. He spoke first. "In the Chronicles, there is a saying, 'Times are hard to catch but easy to lose.'" Vuong sat opposite him. "It means opportunities are hard to find but very easy to let slip away." Duonghai listened and replied, "That is exactly right." He clenched his fist, his voice firm. "Currently, our family is facing both an opportunity and a risk." Duonghai recounted what had happened. The conflict within the Black Path had caused the factions in An District to collapse. He brought up the past events one by one. The incident where a shop's sign was removed and it had to shut down. Duonghui continued, "The result created an opportunity for the Bok family. The estate thrived again after a while." He continued his story. But back then, the appearance of forces wanting to suppress the Bok family estate was inevitable. I looked at the person across from him and said clearly, "Now our family must expand our scale. Right now, thanks to the Black Path conflict, many martial artists have been left homeless. Even if only a fraction of them repent and join our family." He clenched his hand. "That would also be a massive boost to our strength." Vuong and Ninth Jack looked at each other in silence. He hummed, thinking for a long time, but Vuong said slowly, "How many of them truly want to wash their hands of that life?" He also reached up to rub his chin. "Now that you mention it, some former subordinates of the Hong Giao gang reached out to me recently." Ninth Jack also shared his story. "They said the Hong Giao gang isn't what it used to be, so they want to seek refuge with me." He found it hard to make a choice. "But I'm also staying at the Bok family estate, so I haven't been able to come up with a good plan yet." Duong Hai heard this and said excitedly, "That's exactly what I'm talking about." He hurriedly explained, "Even if they can't show it on the outside, I'm sure many of them want to turn over a new leaf deep down. I mean, we should recruit those people." Duong Hai understood the situation clearly and analyzed it. Of course, there will be those who are rotten to the roots and beyond saving. And for people like that, he suddenly pointed at Ninth Jack, ninth brother. "You will be responsible for managing them," Duong Hai said happily to him. "Go ahead and clean up the ones who can't be saved." Ninth Jack was incredibly stunned. "Me?" Vuong also became excited about his idea. Duong Hai's idea is truly brilliant, converting the Black Path thugs into good people while strengthening our clan's power. That's outstanding. Ninth Jack looked at him dazed. The master of transformation, Vuong, radiated a blinding light. "I entrust you with the responsibility of reforming the Black Path gang." Duong Hai saw it and smiled to himself. Here it comes again. Never mention anything contrary to righteousness. That was the father's mental attack. Ninth Jack couldn't bring himself to refuse him. "Fine, I'll do it. I'll take responsibility for reforming them, okay?" He smirked, thinking to himself, "For a former blood drinker, this pure goodness is truly blinding, isn't it?" As expected. Ninth Jack was easily led. Duong Hai praised him. "Ninth brother, you're the best." Ninth Jack shouted after hearing that, "Don't you dare mock me.